Voice of Rugby Union.
How will that change the complexion of this game?
Previously in the Six Nations, rampant Wales, slick Scotland, feisty France, and a thriller at Twickers. Then, abruptly, the scrummaging ceased.
Lots more to come on coronavirus.
But once rebooted later in the year, England won the tournament. So what of 2021? The Six Nations starts this weekend.
On Saturday, on 5 Live Sports Extra, Italy against France from 2 p.m. And on 5 Live, the Calcutta Cup.
It's the most historic fixture. It was the first international game 150 years ago.
England against Scotland, kick-off 4:45. Plus, on Sunday, Wales versus Ireland from 2:45 on 5 Live Sports Extra. The Six Nations 2021 on 5 Live, 5 Live Sports Extra, and across the BBC. This is 5 Live Sport
with Steve Crossman.
Are we seeing the start of a new Premier League rivalry? Thomas Tuchel is stopping that talk before it starts.
It's Tottenham against Chelsea and not me against Jose. I think that Jose is a winner and I want to implement the same in my teams.
According to Mourinho, that's a piece of cake.
I don't think it's very difficult to coach at Chelsea. I was champion 3 times. Ancelotti was champion. Antonio Conte was champion. Cannot be very, very difficult.
Well, test matches in India, they are difficult. Joe Root will be looking for another century as he makes it 100 caps tomorrow.
Root goes back, whips it away, and there's his 100, back-to-back hundreds in terms of test matches. This has been a magnificent innings from Joe Root, a masterclass, and he has played brilliantly in this series.
From BBC Sport,
This is 5 Live Sport.
Good evening, welcome to 5 Live Sport. I'm Steve Crossman. We'll speak to Phil Tufnell and Jonathan Agnew ahead of India versus England Day 1 in Chennai. Full commentary with the Cricket Social on the BBC Sport website. Set your alarm tomorrow morning for 6:30. We'll also get the latest from the Australian Open a little bit later on. And before kick-off at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we'll hear from Eddie Jones ahead of the Calcutta Cup Six Nations Rugby on Saturday. England versus Scotland. Full commentary will bring it to you. But tonight our main focus is the football. It's Tottenham against Chelsea. Full commentary in the Premier League. That is where we find our correspondent John Murray. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Steve.
I mean, always a huge game, but there's just so many little added factors which make it even bigger tonight.
There are lots of added factors this evening. I think the fact that Tottenham come into this having lost their last 2 matches, and we face the possibility this evening, if it doesn't go Tottenham's way, if Chelsea were to win it, remarkably, that would be the first time in Jose Mourinho's managerial career that he's lost 2 successive home matches. So certainly there's pressure on Tottenham. It's a London derby, so it's a first London derby experience for Thomas Tuchel as the Chelsea coach, and coming here having taken 4 points from his first 2 matches. So there's lots on it, whichever way you look at it.
We'll get the team news in a second. First, let's introduce our guests alongside John at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Clinton Morrison. Evening, Clinton.
Good evening, Crossy.
Evening. And also we have with us the Crystal Palace winger Andros Townsend. Evening, Andros.
Good evening, guys. How are we?
All good, all good. Can I just say that I am so jealous of your Zoom background, because you look like you are in a proper, professional studio. You've got it all going on.
And I've not let you forget about those pictures, have I?
Well, you better tell us what you've got in the frames behind you then.
So to my right is me celebrating scoring on my England debut, and to my left is my Spurs leaving shirt, which is signed by all the players.
I mean, it's pretty cool, Clinton. You can see it as well.
Yeah, it's ledge. I've been on before with Andros, so I know what it's like. And yeah, I've asked that question many a time. So yeah, it's brilliant. I don't think anyone else can beat that at this precise moment, Crossy, that we've been on with. That is brilliant.
No, it's certainly got my spare bedroom beat, unfortunately. But there you go. John, how do they line up tonight?
Well, Tottenham make 3 changes from the game against Brighton on Sunday night, and I suppose the headline is that Carlos Vinicius is the central striker. So this is his first start in the Premier League. So Vinicius will play up front. Eric Dyer and Serge Aurier come back into the defence. So the Tottenham team is Lloris, Aurier, Dyer, Alderweireld and Davis. In midfield, Sissoko, Højbjerg and Ndombele, and then Bergwijn, Son and Vinicius. And the Chelsea team, just 1 change from their last match, the 2-0 win against Burnley earlier on Sunday, and that is Reece James coming back in And he takes the place in terms of the personnel of Tammy Abraham. Both Abraham and Giroud are on the bench, so Timo Werner will play as the central striker. So 3 central defenders again, Mendy in goal, Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva and Rudiger, Reece James and Alonso as the wing backs, Kovacic and Jorginho in the middle, and then Mount, Hudson-Odoi and Werner. So Hudson-Odoi, who was the wing back against Burnley, playing further forward, it seems.
I'm just reading, Clinton, the social media reaction that we're getting. You can get in touch with us tonight on 85058 and at 5LiveSport. I'm going to pick this one out straight away because I think it says so much about how Chelsea fans think at the moment. This is from Barry, and he just says, Mason Mount in the starting 11, Chelsea win easily.
Yeah, because he's such an important player. I did it, Tuchel's first game I was working and did the first game against Wolves. And I couldn't believe that Mason Mount was on the bench. I don't know if he was trying to make a statement because he knew the relationship that Mount had with Frank Lampard. But for me, he brought him on with 9 minutes to go. And he's talking about all the regains they done in the game. No, I want you to create chances and score goals. And on that night, they only probably created 1 or 2 half chances. And Wolves defended brilliantly and got a 0-0. Then he comes back into the side, obviously, and they win the game. Mason Mount's so important. I don't know, Andros has played against him, I think, many a times. And he'll probably be able to tell you what he's like playing on the pitch beside him. But me watching him from a distance, I think he's probably been one of Chelsea's best players this season.
I think it's telling how quick that Thomas Tuchel has realised that Mason Mount is obviously an important player for Chelsea. He gets a lot of stick from Chelsea fans, from England fans, but when you have a top manager like Thomas Tuchel, he's come in, left him out the first game. And like Clinton said, when he came on, he was their best player, and now he's giving him the start in the next 2 games. So, Mason Mount is a quality player and fully deserves his start tonight.
I guess, Clinton, what it tells as well is, because ordinarily, and I'm about to do this again when I mention Gareth Bale, but you talk about players who are in the starting lineup and players who aren't, and how it'll be a disappointment for player X not to be starting, etc. However, when Mount didn't start a couple of games ago against Wolves, he was unbelievable as a substitute. And it's that kind of attitude, isn't it? That you're not in the team, but when you're given that chance, you really underline who you are to the new manager.
Yeah, you want to prove a point, don't you? Not even to any new manager. You can ask Andros, because at this precise, he's been in the team for most of the season. At the moment, he's not in the team at Crystal Palace. But I can guarantee you, when Andros Townsend comes onto the pitch, he wants to prove to Roy Hodgson and make an impact in the game that he wants to be starting the next game. And he will do that. And that's the same as Mason Mount. Not every player has that in their thoughts in their heads. Others are different. Other people will soak, and I get that they can soak, but once you cross that white line, you have to go and prove that you should be in that team. That is what Mason Mount has done, and that is the things that players like Andros Townsend will do as well.
Yeah, I think Clinton's right. Probably when you're a bit younger, you soak, you don't have your pads on, you warm up with your trousers, you're not ready to come on. But when you're at my age, you have to be ready. My pads are on, my shirt's on underneath my jacket, and it's telling that a player like Mason Mount, I don't know, he's 21, 22, at such a young age, he's played every game this season. It would have been very easy for him to sulk, having been dropped by the new manager, not be ready to come on, not be up to full sharpness. But you can see exactly what Clinton said. He was the opposite. He came on and he pretty much changed that game against Wolves.
I'm glad Andros said that, because I was watching the Palace-Newcastle game the other day. It was absolutely freezing, and I watched Andros warming up on the touchline, and he's got his shorts on, so he is ready. So that is the model professional there, ladies and gentlemen.
Because exactly what happened, Wilfried Zaha gets injured. You've got 2 minutes to get stripped and come on. You need to be ready. Although it didn't help me because I came on and missed a sitter, so...
I didn't want to talk about that, mate, so let's move on.
I have to get it in first.
All right, mate.
So I love this. So is this how it works, like, Andros? So if you're coming and looking at the substitutes, and you'll go, oh, he's not got his shin pads on, he's not happy?
I don't know. You'll have to ask the managers. But for me, it can't do no harm. If the manager looks down the line, maybe he needs a goal, maybe he needs a player to come on to shore up the defence, and he sees a player in his shorts ready to go, just with his jacket on and warming up intently, I'm sure it will definitely make a difference, as opposed to players that got big jackets on, got their trousers on, got their laces undone, and you know it's going to take them a good 10 minutes to get stripped and into the action. So it's little 1%ers really that kind of help you get on when you're on the bench.
Yeah, and Crossy, and that is coming from someone who's been there and done it. Played international football, played in the Premier League for many years. So any youngster listening, be prepared. Don't have your laces undone. Have your shin pads on. Be ready to prepare. And I'm saying that, and I was probably the worst when I was on the bench, not being prepared. But don't be like me. Be like Andros Townsend.
Where does that come, Clinton, on the list of things that winds up your manager?
It comes right at the top. I ain't coming on, John, basically, if the manager sees you like that.
Looking at Tottenham and Chelsea in the league, there is I was going to say a nice symmetry, but I don't think Spurs or Chelsea fans will see it that way. So asymmetry about them. Won the same amount of games, drawn the same, lost the same. There's only one goal in it in terms of the goal difference. How much, Andros, how much bad feeling can be undone by one single result if you're playing for Tottenham against Chelsea?
It's a game that's really, the last few years, I think back to the battle at the bridge. Since then, it's kind of gone on to a different dimension, the rivalry between the two sides. And it is, for me, it is the number one derby for Spurs now, overtaking Arsenal. So it's vitally important, and especially looking at the positions in the table. For me, the loser is out of the title race. The loser has to focus on top four. But if you win, if you're Spurs and you win, you're 1 point, you're 4 points behind Liverpool with a game in hand. It's still there. It's still there. It's still a long season. It's going to be ups and downs. So for me, the winner has a slight chance of still being in that run-in for the title.
John Murray and Clinton Morrison are just enjoying the fact that they're both on Zoom but sitting about 5 yards away from each other. I saw your face, John.
It's taken me this long to get the Wi-Fi working.
We've got John Murray, Clinton Morrison and Andros Townsend with us on 5 Live Sport. Full commentary coming your way from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Absolutely huge game. Kicks off at 8 p.m. So we're going to focus now on the two managers. And, of course, they've just been telling us that it's not Tuchel versus Mourinho. It is Tottenham versus Chelsea. I think this is really interesting. Have a listen. So this is Thomas Tuchel, of course, the new Chelsea boss, who's been asked what his approach is to Timo Werner and getting more out of the striker.
With every player, and of course with all strikers, and of course with Timo, we try to create a bond and we try to create a relationship. Every guy needs something else. Some need you to be close, some need to be more alone, some need to be pushed hard, some need a hug. And so we find out what suits him. To feel comfortable, to open up, and then to feel comfortable again on the pitch is our responsibility to also create moments and situations where he can bring out his best. That means to attack the space behind the back of the last line of defense of the opponents, to use his speed, and for that we try to create moments and situations with the whole team and of course with the offensive guys, and from there on, in the end, the last 10, the last 15, maybe the last 20%, they only come back if he scores. You can talk, you can train, they can score in training, you can do whatever. If nothing helps as much if they find the net in important games. But he's on a very good way because he's open and he accepts that the situation is like this. He's not looking for excuses, and he's working hard, concentrated, and all that together with a smile.
See, I wonder, Andros, if that's quite an interesting sort of window into his man management, in that he's saying pretty clearly there he will treat every player differently. And, you know, if I was a football manager, I might not treat you the same way as I've treated Clinton Morrison.
Yeah, I think that's the modern day way of managing. I've played under many managers, old, young, in between. And I think the modern day manager, the younger managers, they come in, they treat each player differently. One player might like the arm rounding, the other player might like tough love, another player might favour a total different approach. So I think for me, Thomas Tuchel is kind of the modern day manager where you judge each player based on their own characteristics.
I totally agree. I think what he's doing there is brilliant. I was a player who liked to arm around the shoulder and loved and be telling how good I am, and I think that got the best out of me. I don't like a manager who just basically, you're not in the team and doesn't talk to you and you don't know when you're going to get back in that team. I'd be one of these players that would knock the manager's door every day and say, why am I not playing? And if I'm not, and if he explains the reason why I'm not playing and I accept it, I'll hold my hand up and accept it. You'll never be happy about it, but at least you know, and you'll say, I know the reasons of why I'm not playing at this precise moment. But you know me, and Andros knows me. I would have never have been happy sitting on the bench. And that's just how I am as a person and as an individual.
The collective laugh when Clinton Morrison
I saw
said.
Andros just laughing. I'm thinking, uh-oh.
Do you think that's the modern player as well, Andros? And I'm asking that question because that is... that's almost the stereotype of the modern player, is that people say, oh, they all need that now. They all need the arm around the shoulder.
Not necessarily. If you look at what Jose Mourinho's done with Ndombele, he gave him the cold shoulder, dropped him out of the team, dropped him out of the squads a good few months, basically told him, this is what I want from you. if I don't see it from you, I'm not going to play you. And eventually the penny dropped, and Ndombele got his act together, started showing his defensive work, started working as hard going back towards his goal as he does the other way. And now we're seeing an unbelievably world-class player. And for me, that's down to the tough love of Mourinho. So each players react differently to different techniques.
Yeah, I'd agree with Andros there. Every player is different. As I say, I was one who wanted the arm around the shoulder, telling how good. Other players don't want that. And sometimes you have to show them tough love. Like he's done with Ndombele. He could have easily have gone. I seen him do an interview not too long ago saying he wanted to leave Tottenham. But now he's happy. He wants to stay because he's playing regular. So that Jose's got the best out of him. And that's down to the player as well. Because the player goes and looks at himself and says, am I going to try? Am I going to get myself fit? And as Andros said, he's one of the best players at this precise moment in form in the Premier League. And I hope that can happen with Dele Alli as well, because I think he's got great ability, and if he can get back to the best that he can do. If you see someone, sorry to go off track, but you see someone like Jesse Lingard yesterday, and you look what he wasn't doing at Man United. He's gone to play under a manager he's played with before, David Moyes. He was brilliant yesterday, and he deserved the 2 goals. He played ever so well, worked hard. So hopefully Jose can do that with Dele Alli, because you do not lose that. Andros will know playing against him. I didn't happen to play against Dele Alli because I was too old, but he looks like he's got some ability on the pitch.
But that's totally relevant, isn't it? Sorry, Andros, Clinton, what you're saying there about Dele Alli to this conversation, totally relevant, because it's Andros. It's the manager's job, isn't it, to get the best out of the players that he's got. Yeah.
And I think Jose Mourinho said it in the documentary to Dele Alli. He said, "I'm only tough on you because I like you." We see it with Ndombele. Ndombele, it took him 3 or 4 months. He's come out the other side of it, and Jose Mourinho's hoping that in a couple of months that Dele Alli comes over the other side of it and is a better player than he was before, which was a top player.
But that, I guess my question there, Andros, is you're absolutely right on Ndombele. That's exactly what's happened. But is he not the exception rather than the rule? Does Jose Mourinho not just give everybody tough love and then 1 or 2 players will react well to it? For every Ndombele, there's a Dele Alli, there's a Luke Shaw.
Yes, but would you not say, for me, I'm looking at Mourinho's time at Man United. He was tough with Luke Shaw, he was tough with Marcus Rashford, he was tough with Anthony Martial. Those players have all come back, or especially Rashford and Martial, after Mourinho's left, they've all come back better players because of it. Is that because Ole Solskjaer's come in, or is it because of when Jose Mourinho was there that the penny started to drop? All right, I can't just rely on my attacking ability, I need to work harder defensively, I need to be more clinical, etc., etc. So for me, I look at those players at United as well, and I wonder, is their return to form partly Mourinho's doing as well?
No, I think that's a good shout, to be fair. I've never really thought it like that, but yeah, he is tough, Jose Mourinho, but I just want him to give Dele Alli a bit more of a chance. We know Dele Alli's got superb ability. I think if he was fit now, I think I'd be playing him as that false number 9 at this precise. I know Vinicius is coming, and obviously when Harry Kane's injured, he wants his opportunity. But I think if Dele Alli was fit today, I think Jose might have started him today, just because I think he said in his interview, his press conference, that he sat down, he spoke to the player, and obviously Dele Alli, you can't tell me for how good of a player he is, any player, if you're not playing in that football team, you'll be down, you're looking on the bench and your team's struggling, and then you look around and you're thinking, he's not even calling me to come on the pitch and make an impact, and he's getting 3-4 minutes here, then he's playing at Marine and playing and at other places in the cup games where he wants to be playing in the Premier League. So, but Andros makes a good point. I think Jose's tough love that he did at Man United to some players. If you look at Luke Shaw's form this season, he's one of the best left backs in the Premier League.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Clinton, when we saw him at Marine, his attitude looked good, didn't it?
Yeah,
and,
really
and
good.
For the record, Clinton's right. He's not involved at all today because he's got a calf injury, which might keep him out for a little while longer as well, just in case anyone was wondering.
Are you expecting, Andros, that he will come back then? Because I think everybody wants to see the best Dele Alli. Of course we do. But do you think it'll happen now?
Yes, but I think at the moment it's not that he's not playing well enough or he's not as good of a player. It's the fact that Ndombele is playing out of his skin. It's the fact that Mourinho plays with 2 holding midfielders in Højbjerg and Sissoko. And so it's out of Ndombele and Dele Alli. And I think everyone can agree at the moment that Ndombele is on a different level to probably any other player in the Premier League at the minute. So it's not a case of Dele Alli's not playing well enough or he's not the player he once was before. It's just the fact that competition has risen.
And you know what he said as well, Andros, in his press, Jose? He said now Ndombele is fit enough and can play 90 minutes. He said he now trusts him. He can play in a 2 with Højbjerg, and that makes so then it frees up a space. He said for Dele Alli and Lo Celso. So, and I just read that on my way here earlier on. So that's how I know about that. But that shows to me he might have a bit of faith in Dele Alli, but then he's going to have competition from Lo Celso, who's back. He's a fantastic player as well.
Yeah.
Just imagining Jose Mourinho's face if you were listening to you saying how Luke Shaw might be better because of him. He will love that.
But you know, as a player, when you don't get on with a manager, you're not playing well, that manager gets sacked. In the next 3 or 4 games, you're playing and you're thinking, I need to prove this ex-manager wrong. I need to prove him wrong. And I wonder if these players have, obviously Mourinho's gone, the shackles are off. I can now play again. I wonder if the back of their mind they're thinking, right, I need to prove him wrong. He was wrong to not play me number 9 or on the left wing or whatever it was. And I wonder if that was kind of the effect from Mourinho's spell at United and those players who have now picked up since he's left.
Loads more to come ahead of kick-off with Andros Townsend, our correspondent John Murray and Clinton Morrison at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs versus Chelsea, massive game in the Premier League, full commentary from 8 p.m. England's first test against India starts tomorrow morning in Chennai. It all gets underway very, very early. 6:30 in the morning on the BBC Sport website and app is when you can start listening to the Cricket Social. Phil Tufnell and Jonathan Agnew, 2 of the voices that you'll hear on that. And after all the precautions, Jonathan, after the quarantine and the testing, it's so sad that it's a freak injury, which has ruled Zach Crawley out.
It is, and you got to feel sorry for him. He's done all the hard work. He's done all his isolation. He played okay in Sri Lanka. At least he got some cricket into his legs, and he's a very promising young batsman. But to slip over on a shiny surface, I assume he was wearing spikes in his boots, and over he went. And of course, what happens is he's given an opportunity to somebody else, probably Ollie Pope, who's now back in the reckoning again after being a long time out with his shoulder injury. But they've decided that he is fit for selection. It could be that Dan Lawrence plays in his place because he had a very promising debut. Joe Root wouldn't give us the team earlier. But it's just, after all the precautions that are taken to get these players on the field, to slip over and damage your wrist and be ruled out for 2 test matches is it's pretty ironic, isn't it?
Can you sympathise, Phil? Maybe empathise?
Well, I've heard of a couple of strange ones. I remember Philip de Freitas, I think, pulling a groin muscle, getting out of the bath during a test match, which was a little bit extraordinary. And I think, was it Chris Cowdrey, I think, pulled a hamstring driving into the ground as well. So these things, I mean, they're like racehorses nowadays, and one sneeze and they usually pull something. But
I'll offer you a couple of toughies as well. What about Phil Edmonds, your old teammate, who did his back getting out of his car at Lord's before a test match?
There you go. And
I think the best one of all time was Chris Old, who often had a lot of things wrong with him. I'm pretty sure did a hamstring sitting on the toilet. So I mean that I think is the all-time eclipser. But you wrap those up in cotton wool and something silly like that comes along.
Well, when you look at the England team, though, Jofra Archer, Ben Stokes, is it a stronger outfit than Sri Lanka? Even, do you think?
Well, it's interesting because we talk about Sri Lanka as being preparation, and then you look down the list of those who might well be playing tomorrow, and you look and think, well, hang on, half of them didn't play. Rory Burns could well play tomorrow. Ben Stokes, of course, will play tomorrow. Ollie Pope might well play tomorrow. Moeen Ali might well play tomorrow. Chris Woakes might well play tomorrow. Jofra Archer will almost certainly play tomorrow. None of them played in Sri Lanka. So there we were during the Sri Lanka series saying, well, this is great preparation and really good they're getting this cricket in their legs and playing some test matches. But half the side didn't play. So, they've been sitting in their hotel rooms for 6 days, literally isolation, solitary confinement with 1 hour in the gym per day, and then 3 days of practice. And it's not just a question of the practice, it's a question of just actually having the awareness of where you are. You fly into India, which is such a complete different shock to the system anyway. Everything, the sights, the smells, the heat, all of that. And you spent 6 days sitting in a room without even your window opening. And suddenly you go out for 3 days into it and you are playing in a test match. And it's going to be a really tough one for England. That's not making excuses in advance, But, be realistic. That's the sort of preparation that they've had. And it does help so much, as tough as knows, you try and embrace where you are. When you're on a tour, you get amongst it, you get in there. And that's what you do in India. It's such fun getting in there amongst the colour and the crowds and the people in the streets and the cows on the roundabouts and all of that. It's all part of it. And you know where you are. Your body wakes up to where you are and you play better. But if all you see is your journey to and from the ground out of your bus window, then you might as well be playing anywhere, really.
So how is it feeling? How is it affecting them? Here is the England captain on the situation they find themselves in and the fact they've only had 2 days in the nets.
Really enjoyed the fact that over the last few days been able to have a little bit more freedom, getting out of the rooms, out of quarantine, getting stuck into training again. I think it's given everyone a good lift ahead of the series. So it is very different to most tours and how you prepare for a normal test series. But it's a great opportunity. It's a huge series in the calendar, in the cycle, if you like. Something you always look forward to, coming to India and playing. And the passion for the sport over here it's unrivaled, really. Everyone in India seems to follow cricket, follow their team. And it's a great chance for us to hopefully do something special.
Have you bumped into your opposite number yet, Virat Kohli? And I wonder what sort of mood he's in.
Virat Kohli, you don't need to speak to him to know that when he turns up to a series, he'll be desperate to impress, to perform, to go out there and try and make a big impact on the series. Fortunate to get a quick 20, 30 seconds with him. Nice to congratulate him on his child, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be a great contest. I think he's always got a point to prove. I think one of probably his biggest challenges is the expectation that's always on his shoulders, and he does handle that very well. So I don't think anything changes in that regard for him. All we've got to do is just make sure we're up to matching that, and that we try and keep him as quiet as possible throughout the series, do everything we can, plan well, and perform well, execute what we've got in store, and hopefully come out on top.
And if England are to win this series, Joe, and it's been a great performance if you can to knock off India at home, what are you going to have to do right?
We're going to have to do a lot of things right. We're going to have to bat long periods of time, and we're going to have to control the rate with the ball and really make them work hard for their runs. But more than anything, we've got to be mentally resilient in these conditions. I think that's going to be a real challenge for us. As it always is in the subcontinent, you've got to be prepared to play the long game and to outpatient sides. If we do that, I really do believe we can win out here.
Joe Root with you there, of course, Jonathan. That was really interesting for a couple of reasons. One, to get just a window into the unbelievable scrutiny that you get if you're captain of India, but also this will be a very special day for Joe Root as well.
Yeah, 100th Test match. Can't believe it's 10 years ago that he walked out there at Nagpur. Was he 20 years old then? He looked about 15. He's still got that sort of angelic smile. He looks a bit more careworn these days as England captain. He's in great form, and that's a really important thing for Root. At the start of this year, at the start of this series, people won't be talking about Root and the captaincy and his batting form and so on. That's been pushed away. It's interesting, I think, about Kohli, who, of course, missed out on that heroic performance by India in Australia. He was back home, as Joe was referring to there, watching the birth of his first child. So he missed out on one of the most famous wins that India have ever pulled off. To go and beat Australia there was extraordinary under those circumstances. And I don't think Virat will like that very much. He likes the limelight. He's the man in charge. You watch him out in the field, he's got his chest puffed out, he's ordering people all over the place. He will feel it knows he'll be out of joint. It was his decision not to be there, but he wasn't there, and I just think he is going to want to make a real impact immediately on this series. There will be this huge expectation. Everyone's talking about, Kohli's back, and look at the Indian batting lineup, and quite rightly so. But he's a very fine player, and these great players, you try not to give them that little bit of extra incentive if you can avoid it. But he's got it this time,
and they get extra incentive. And maybe produce even a little bit more when they're playing at home, I suppose, Phil. What is it like to play there as an Englishman?
Well, it's very, very tricky. I mean, not only the conditions, you say the heat and everything that goes with that. I think, the no crowds being there might be for the first Test match. I think there's no crowds anyway. Might be in England's favour, but what I found playing in India is that you can actually play well and get absolutely thrashed. And so you don't quite know where you are sometimes. You perhaps sort of win the toss, get 400, and you think, oh, crikey, we've done quite well there. We're in the game. And then they go whizzing past you and score about 650, and the pressure's right back on you. So not only is Joe Root going to have to show this form, which is, he's in a great run of form at the moment, but he's actually going to have to really captain well as well, because, the wheels come off very, very quickly. You've got to have a plan A, a B, a C and a D in India. So it's one of those places that you've got to be mentally right on your game, physically right on your game, and also, hopefully that little bit of form comes around. Otherwise it can be a long old tie. It can be a long old tour.
It's going to be a great tour, I'm sure, though, isn't it? Phil, Jonathan, thank you very much. We better let them get to bed, actually. It's 7:30, 6:30 in the morning. You can listen to the BBC Cricket Social. You can follow England's Test series, the whole series in India, on the BBC Sport website and app in that way. As well as those two, Michael Vaughan, Isha Guha, Sir Alistair Cook, among the names that you hear on the Cricket Social across the series. Extensive coverage on 5 Live, as well as the daily TMS podcast on BBC Sounds. We've got Spurs-Chelsea to come here, full commentary on 5 Live Sport from 8 p.m, so we'll get back to that game shortly. First, the Six Nations is back across BBC Radio and TV from this weekend. It starts with Italy-France on Sports Extra, 2:15 p.m. on Saturday. England-Scotland, the Calcutta Cup, on 5 Live at 4:45. Then at 3 p.m. on Sunday, we'll bring you Wales against Ireland on Sports Extra. Our correspondent Chris Jones is with us. Both starting 15s announced today, and it looks as if we'll get rookie centres on both sides, which is actually quite a tale, isn't it?
Yeah, really good story this, because Ollie Lawrence for England and Cameron Redpath for Scotland were contemporaries in the English system, Steve. They played together in the same midfield for the England under-20s just a couple of years ago. So they know each other really well. Lawrence broke into the England setup. Actually, he made his debut at the end of last year's Six Nations, at the end of October. So he's just starting to try and establish himself in that kind of Manu Tuolangi void in the England midfield. Redpath has been on Eddie Jones's radar, or should I say was on Eddie Jones's radar for a while. He was picked in the England squad to go to South Africa in 2018. Injury scuppered that. He'd yet to commit to England and Scotland as of the autumn, but Gregor Townsend made his move proper this Six Nations, and he's put him straight in. So starting at number 12 for Scotland, up against Ollie Lawrence, the biggest game of both those young men's careers, you'd say, by some distance.
It feels like the first day, mate. One of the things that struck me particularly in this campaign and given the circumstances, how much our players love playing rugby and how much they love playing for England. So it's an exciting period for the team. We're going through a little bit of a reconstruction at the moment with some younger players coming through. So it's an exciting time for the team.
In terms of the team selection, Owen back at number 10, Ollie Lawrence 12, Henry Slade 13. You ran that 3 in the autumn, but often with Henry at 12 and Ollie at 13. So just talk us through why these players have been selected in these particular positions.
Those positions are really interchangeable. 60% of our possession is from unstructured, so it's really where the players find their position, where they've come from. We feel that combination against Scotland is going to be the best combination.
And do you think having Henry as kind of your second playmaker in midfield, you'll get more out of him than maybe you would if Jorginho were there and he was sort of that third playmaker?
Not necessarily. It's just the starting and finishing order we've got for this game. George's going to have a crucial role for us in the end part of the game, and you look at most England-Scotland games, they're won in the last 20 minutes.
And Ollie Lawrence, have you seen a big development in him from when he made his debut end of October?
He's developing nicely. He's got a lot of work to do. He's got potential, but we've got to see the talent come through, and Saturday's an opportunity for some of the talent to come through.
Talking of talent, he's lining up against Cameron Redpath, the guy who's been on your radar. Does he feel like one that got away, Redpath?
Look, players have choices. He's made a choice to play for Scotland, and we wish him all the best. If he wanted to play for England, he could have stayed and fought for a spot, but he decided he wanted to go to Scotland. So, we wish him all the best.
Eddie Jones with Chris Jones. Chris, can I just say, one of the things I'm most looking forward to about the return of Six Nations is just you interviewing Eddie Jones, because they are genuinely brilliant, and sometimes a bit of a Frost Nixon vibe, I think.
Well, we get a fair few opportunities because we speak to him Thursday for team announcement, normally before a test match on Saturday, after a test match on Saturday, and sometimes if he's in a mischievous mood, Eddie might put himself up for media at the beginning of the week, so I get enough practice.
Yeah, okay. So we've got Chris with us. Let's bring in the former Scotland captain, Andy Nicol, who'll be alongside Chris on Saturday. Good evening, Andy.
Hi, Steve.
I was just looking, Cameron's dad, Brian, was your great rival for the number 9 shirt for Scotland. So, with him lining up this weekend, I hope that doesn't make you feel too old.
Oh, well, I've gone through that cycle with Adam Hastings coming into the team a few years ago, Steve. So listen, if Cameron Redpath turns out half as good as his dad, then Scotland are in for some good rugby over the coming years. Because Brian was a great player. I actually spoke to him this week. He was really excited that Cameron had chosen Scotland, and I've been really impressed with Cam over the last few weeks. In a Bath side that have been struggling, he just has stood out. And I have to say, from a scorer's perspective, to look at an axis of Finn Russell and Cam Redpath for the next few years. Now we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves because Cam's not played international rugby yet, but everything I've seen so far would suggest that as an axis, 10-12 axis for Scotland in the next few years could be very exciting.
We almost got round one of you and Eddie Jones, Chris, because I heard the question that you asked about, the one that got away, and he didn't sort of bite on that, but do you think that might be how it feels?
I think it does. Look, Eddie Jones has had a couple of these players in the last few weeks that were dual qualified and could have gone one way or the other. He nicked Paolo Adogwu out of the clutches of Italy because Franco Smith, the Italian head coach, was dead keen to pick Adogwu in his Italy squad for this Six Nations, but Jones managed to get Adogwu to commit to England. Likewise, Harry Randall, who is also qualified for Wales, quality young scrum half at Bristol, not in the England squad, but knocking hard on the door, but he's in the England squad. However, the one Jones has missed out on is Redpath, who's going to be playing against England on Saturday. He didn't really bite, did he? He didn't say, we think he's a brilliant player. He never was going to, but clearly Jones rates him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been putting him in England squads for the last couple of years. He was only 18 when he first called him up. So, yeah, I think Jones feels is the one that got away. And the type of player he is as well, tall, skillful, athletic, number 12. England haven't had a number 12 really dominating that position for ages. Owen Farrell's done a great job, but he's a sort of 10/12. He's back at number 10. So he's kind of the player England could have done with as well.
I wonder, Andy, because Eddie Jones is such a smart bloke and he's very entertaining, and sometimes he says things and I wonder whether or not you should read much into it or not. Do you think we should read anything into George Ford being on the bench for the first time since, the World Cup quarter-final?
No, Eddie did say that he wanted to evolve the game plan post the Autumn Nations Cup, which, England weren't very expansive. And that's interesting because actually George Ford can play that game. I actually personally think that's a really nice midfield. I think there's a real good balance to it. I think Ollie Lawrence at 12 and give Slade that freedom at 13 actually is a good selection. So I personally think this is England's best. Well, it's a really good midfield for them to go out and try and play in a different way. I think Eddie's right in the sense that George Ford will have a role to play. The bench always has a role to play these days. Every team just about empties their bench every game. So what you've got there is a proven international player that can win games. So if it's tight, and there's Eddie saying it might be tight. It was certainly tight 2 years ago. It certainly wasn't tight 4 years ago when Scotland were at the end of a 60-pointer. So I think it will be a lot closer on Saturday. And George Ford, coming off the bench, that's look at the contrast. If Finn Russell will probably play the whole game for Scotland, but if he were to get injured or he were to be substituted, Jacob van der Walt comes off the bench with one cap to his name. You'd much rather a proven winner like George Ford coming off the bench than an untried player.
Yeah, and on that, Steve, George Ford, a lot of people, England fans, will think that Ford and Farrell are England's sort of main combination because they started the World Cup final. And they'd be right up to a point. But remember, George Ford was on the bench for large parts of 2018. For nearly all the Six Nations in 2019, he was on the bench. I mean, that amazing game 2 years ago, which, Andy, is still my favourite ever game I've commentated on. We had such fun that afternoon at Twickenham, 38-all. It was Ford who came off the bench to save England's bacon, to score under the post with the last play of the game and pop over the goal. So Eddie Jones has been looking for a while for an alternative to the Ford-Farrell axis. As good as it is, he wants to see if England can maybe have Farrell at 10 and a slightly bigger, more powerful midfield. So with Lawrence and Slade, he's just trying to develop that combination. But as Andy says, he has got a proven winner, a world-class player in Ford to come off the bench if England need.
Chris, Andy, thank you very much indeed. Very much looking forward to that. Your commentary team there for the Calcutta Cup, 4:45, live on Saturday as the Six Nations get underway. Also on this week's Rugby Union Weekly, we've got the former Scotland captain John Barclay chatting about the Calcutta Cup, talking about Finn Russell's pre-match meals. Jamie George gives an insight into the England camp and the David Beckham suite at St George's Park. Ireland legend Jamie Heaslip explains what Paul O'Connell will bring to Andy Farrell's side. They also speak to Ken Owens about his new Wales gear and singing the national anthem. The Rugby Union Weekly is always great fun, and it's the perfect time to get into it, I guess. Good evening. If you've just joined us on 5 Live Sport, just under 20 minutes to go until our full commentary this evening, which is Tottenham Hotspur versus Chelsea in the Premier League. Let me give you the top of the Premier League table then. Manchester City on top, played 21, 47 points. Manchester United second with 44. Leicester third, 42. Liverpool fourth on 40. West Ham fifth on 38. All of those teams, apart from City, have played 22 games. Then Everton in sixth on 36 points. Spurs in seventh on 33. They've both played 20 games. Chelsea eighth in the table, 33 points from 21 matches. We've got Clinton Morrison, Andros Townsend, and our correspondent John Murray with us on 5 Live Sport. At what stage, Clinton, with both of these teams tonight 14 points off the lead, do we just sort of forget about anything else for them other than the Champions League?
I think both are looking at Champions League anyway, because I don't think Man City are going to drop anything at the moment. I think it's theirs to lose at this precise moment. And the way Man City are playing, I think they're in outstanding form. But I agree with probably what Andros is saying. Whoever loses tonight, they can just concentrate on the Champions League. If whoever wins, they have got an outside chance and hope Man City slip up. So it's a big game. But in particular, I think a big game for Tottenham, because they've got that game in hand. If they win this game, then they can just kick on to the end of the season. Obviously, it's a big blow not having their main man there, Harry Kane, but other players have to step up. But it's a huge game for Tottenham, just because the run they've been on. As you said, this will be back-to-back home defeats if they lose against Chelsea.
I agree with Clinton. I think Man City started the season slow. They sort of gave other teams the opportunity. Do you want to run away with it? Nobody really could take it with both hands. And now, since November, December, City have just been on a whole completely different level. And I think, for me now, they'll run away with it. I think they'll win it by 9 or 10 points. But the winner here, like Clinton said, the winner here, you have still a slight hope. Champions League starts back in a few weeks. Anything can happen. A lot of games, could be injuries. So I think the winner here will still have a slight chance of catching them.
9 or 10 points. So what is it you see in... Because everybody's had like good runs and bad runs. What is it you see in City which makes you just think, that's just them now?
I think them and Liverpool have by far the best squad in the Premier League anyway. The fact that Man City have had their lull, they've had their slow start to the season, and they were average for half of the first half of the season. So it's not like it's 1 or 2 games. They've had their bad patch. They're not going to have another bad patch. With the squad they have, they don't really have many injuries. They've got Aguero coming back, who's a world-class striker. I just can't see beyond them, to be honest. And Liverpool have obviously got their long-term injuries.
Just reading some quotes here from Andy Robertson, speaking of Liverpool, of course, after their defeat to Brighton, second home Premier League defeat in a row after that 68-game run. Robertson said this: "We were hugely disappointed all over the park. It's just not clicking. We need to find a way to get results, especially at home. At this moment, we are not in the title race. We're 7 points behind them, and they have a game in hand." Now, that, John, I think is interesting. I also thought the interview that Jurgen Klopp gave to Juliet Farrington last night was interesting. And do you think... Is there maybe now an acceptance at Liverpool that they've got a problem, as opposed to just saying, well, good runs, bad things happen?
Possibly. But, I mean, they were clicking here against Liverpool, and they were clicking when Clinton saw them on Sunday against West Ham, but they didn't click the other night. So, therefore, it's a consistency issue. And are we really saying that, and I know Manchester City have gone on this run of 13 wins in a row, but are we really saying that cannot, they cannot be affected by consistency in this season of all seasons?
Andros?
Over to you, Andros.
For me, they've had their inconsistencies. They've been there. They've had their slow start to the season. They've had their hangover from the Champions League disappointment. They've been through it already from the first half of the season. And the fact that they're still 3 or 4 points clear, having not played that well, I think it's not a good sign for the rest of the Premier League as they get better and better. The last 3 or 4 games have been formidable. When we played them, they were incredible. They've got, like I said before, they've got Aguero coming back. So for me, even if they're inconsistent, I still think they'll be more consistent than the rest.
I suppose, Clinton, the other point there is that we've seen Manchester City succeeding without the players that they've missed. They've missed De Bruyne recently. They've missed Aguero for a long time. The teams that have struggled have tended to struggle when big players have been missing. We've seen City deal with that already.
Yeah, they have. And I believe if Aguero was in the team, City would be even further ahead, because I think they've missed the natural number 9 striker to put the ball into the net. I think Gundogan's been excellent this season. He stepped up to the mark. Phil Foden's come in. He's been outstanding. Raheem Sterling's now starting to score goals. And Jesus obviously got a goal in a week. They got Mahrez. And they, I think
Bernardo Silva right back into form.
He can go on and on. See, that's how good their squad is. So at this precise moment, I can't see Man City losing it. And at the start of the season, I went for Liverpool because I thought, but that was before they had all these big injuries that they've got. But now, if I look at it, and also I think the form of Stones and Diaz has been outstanding at the back, and then you can throw Laporte's not really getting in. I know he played last night with Burnley. They're exceptional at this moment. They're only going to get better. So I think it's Man City's title to lose at this precise moment.
I was having a look, Steve, when Tottenham and Liverpool played each other at Anfield in December, so that was mid-December, so that was less than 2 months ago. When Liverpool won that, they knocked Tottenham off the top of the table. So that's less than 2 months ago, and Tottenham are now 14 points off the top of the table. So that's quite a swing in the space of 2 months. But I totally accept that we're talking about Manchester City with the absolute course and distance record that they have in the Premier League, and obviously the strength and depth that they have in the squad as well.
And I guess it's not just about, Andros, the players that you have in reserve. It's how you coach them and how you motivate them and how ready they are when they're asked to come into the team. Which brings us back to Gareth Bale, who's back on the bench tonight. Now, we've said a lot about Gareth Bale. I haven't spoken to too many of his former Tottenham teammates, of which you are one. So how do you view his position?
As a player who plays in the same position as Gareth Bale, I look up to Gareth Bale. He's been one of the best players in the world for many, many years. Watching him closely since he's returned, I don't think I see a person that fully trusts himself, fully trusts his body anymore. He gets in 1v1 situations and he kind of hesitates before he looks to go beyond the before he goes beyond the fullback. And in the Premier League, if you hesitate, the fullbacks are that good that you've got no chance. And it goes back to when I've been out of form, when haven't been playing well, haven't been taking on my opponent. I hesitate. I get the ball and it's like, oh, I don't want to lose it again. I don't want to go down the line and get tackled again, and then I have to sprint back. And it feels like Gareth Bale's game is similar. He's not fully trusting his body, his speed, his pace and his power as he was when he was at Real Madrid. I remember the goal against Real Madrid where he's knocked it and he's so confident. He's run off the pitch and run back on and got the ball and scored. And I don't think as of yet we haven't seen that Gareth Bale. I hope he can get his mental state back into that frame of mind where he feels unbreakable, and hopefully that happens between now and the end of the season.
How much drive does it take to be able to do that when you're in that position where you just feel that you can't trust your body anymore?
Yeah. Well, I think if Gareth Bale didn't love football, if he didn't have that drive, he didn't have that determination, he wouldn't have come back to England. He's on a nice contract at Real Madrid. I think he's got 2 or 3 years left for that to run. If he'd fallen out of the love of the game, he would have said, all right, I'm just going to sit here on the bench. I'm going to continue with my antics for the next 2 years. But the fact that he's come back to the Premier League, he's come back to Spurs, he feels he's still got a point to prove. He feels he's still got enough ability to impact games as he was before. Maybe physically he's still at that level. Unfortunately, mentally he's not at that level. He's not as confident as he was before. But he's not played football in the last year or so. So it's going to take time to get himself back into the frame of mind that he had when he was at Real Madrid. Whether that happens in time for him to flourish at Spurs, we don't know.
Do you sense, Andros, that he is genuinely happier now that he's away from Real Madrid? I'm sure he won't be happy because he's not starting enough matches, but generally?
Yes, I think he is, because at Real Madrid they scrutinise his every move, anything he did, whether he was on the bench, whether he was playing, whether he was playing golf, whether he was at home. They scrutinise everything he did. So the pressure that come with that must have been incredible. So coming to Spurs, the fans love him. He's more comfortable. The press aren't really hounding him like they were in Spain. So even though he's not playing as well as he would have liked to have, I think he's still a lot more comfortable at Spurs than he was at Real Madrid.
Yeah, 15 appearances so far this season for Tottenham. 10 starts, 5 substitute appearances, Steve.
And do you know what? Just listening to that, Clinton, makes me think everything that just Andros has been talking about. You think, well, how do you get over that? How do you trust your body again? It's games. And Jose Mourinho was asked the question, can you give him a run of games to get back to that? And he said, no.
No, he can't at this precise. But that's the only way. Andros is right. That's the only way he's going to get back to it, is playing games week in, week out. And obviously, he's not getting the game time at the moment. So it's so difficult for Gareth Bale to get that form back. You want to see that old Gareth Bale that was actually what Andros said, knocking the ball one and going off the pitch to get it. Do I think he probably has the potential to get back to that? No, because as you get older, you are going to lose your pace, and he's had a lot of injuries. But I still feel he has a lot to offer in this Spurs team from now to the end of the season, in particular when they don't have Harry Kane in that team as well. So obviously he was given his opportunity against Brighton. He didn't do so well, but you can't just come in one game and then come out for 6 games and then come on for 15 minutes. It's not good. You need a run of games, and that's not me making excuses for Gareth Bale, because if he got 7 or 8 games in a row and didn't produce, then we can start questioning him. But at the moment, I don't think he's had enough game time.
I think, understandably, Andros, we've spent a heck of a lot of time in the build-up talking about people who aren't in the team, and there's a good reason for that. But in terms of those that are, and I appreciate these are 2 massive teams, and sometimes teams in this situation are really cautious, but the personnel on the pitch tell you what we could get here. So you've got Bergwijn, Son and Vinicius on one side, I guess Hudson-Odoi, Werner and Mount on the other side. Who of those 6 would you particularly, who would you pay to watch?
I'm going to stick my Spurs hat on. I'm going to say that Spurs front 4, front 5. I think they're still got the jump on Chelsea. Chelsea's foreign stars are still trying to work their way into Premier League football. It's taken them a while. Even Spurs without Harry Kane, you've got Heung-min Son, who we haven't spoke about. We've got Ndombele, who we have spoke about. 2 top-class players, and for me, I think that's going to be the difference in tonight's game.
Who would you want as a striker, Clinton, of those wide players?
What? Who would I want as a striker of those wide? Well, I want Son. Son definitely makes it, and I think I'd have probably Mason Mount. Son and Mason Mount. You're telling me to mix it up. You didn't tell me to do what you did here with Andros. So I'd have Son, Mason Mount, and probably Timo Werner, because Vinicius, I don't know, it's a difficult one. Ask me at the end of the game, and then I'll tell you who's been the best on the night. It's hard, isn't it, Andros?
I'd probably say Pulisic and Ziyech, who are both on the bench.
There you go. I'd have those 2 without a shadow of doubt. I don't know why they're on the bench, so that's the best.
The one name we haven't mentioned, Andros, and I wanted to get your impression of him all evening, to be honest, so let's do it before we let you go. He has been playing wing-back. I'm guessing, looking at the system, he's going to play more as a wide forward tonight. Yeah. Callum Hudson-Odoi, to see him back in the team, I think that's quite exciting for any neutral, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, he's a very exciting young player. We saw before his Achilles injury, the way he broke on the scene, the way he was causing waves across Europe. Bayern Munich were after him, and then he got his Achilles injury. He was out for a year, and then it took him a while to get back. Similar to what we spoke about with Gareth Bale, it took him a while to get back physically, get back to trusting his body again. And I think we're starting to see the Callum Hudson-Odoi of before his injury, and hopefully that continues tonight, because he's a bright young prospect for England.
Andros, been an absolute pleasure to have you on with us tonight. Thank you so much.
Pleasure as always, guys.
Top man,
Pleasure.
Andros.
Thank you. Take care.
Top man, Crystal Palace winger Andros Townsend, who's been with us on 5 Live Sport. Teams are coming out the tunnel at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Massive game in the Premier League, and we're bringing you full commentary here on 5 Live Sport. Your commentary team is Clinton Morrison, alongside our correspondent John Murray.
Yes, welcome everyone inside the sparkling Tottenham Stadium behind closed doors. It's been a drizzly kind of night, a grey day in North London, but the golden cockerel is gleaming up there on its plinth, high above that big stand to our right, and down inside the bowl of the stadium, away down below where we're sitting, the players of Tottenham and Chelsea are just going through their pre-match routines. So it is Tottenham against Chelsea. Tottenham making 3 changes from the weekend when they lost at Brighton, and that means it's a really big night for Carlos Vinicius, who will start in the Premier League for the first time. Dyer and Aurier come back into the team. We talked in the hours build-up to the match about man management and looking after players. Well, Serge Aurier is returning to the team tonight, and they take the places of Bale, Rodon and Sanchez. And Chelsea, just the one change that Thomas Tuchel has made for his first London derby as the Chelsea manager. Reece James coming back into the side with Tammy Abraham on the bench. So Abraham and Giroud both on the substitutes bench. Timo Werner as the central striker. So the Tottenham team tonight: Lloris, Aurier, Dyer, Alderweireld and Davis. Sissoko, Højbjerg and Ndombele, Son, Bergwijn and Carlos Vinicius. The players just gathering around the centre circle. We will have a moment of appreciation and remembrance for Captain Tom, as has been the case for all of these matches this midweek. But the Chelsea side tonight: Mendy in goal, 3 central defenders, Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva and Rudiger. James and Alonso, the wing-backs, Kovacic and Jorginho, Mason Mount, Hudson-Odoi and Timo Werner. Hakim Ziyech is on the bench tonight. No involvement for Havertz or Zuma, who both had knocks after the weekend. So Tottenham against Chelsea coming up. The captains just going through the pre-match routine in the centre circle. Cesar Azpilicueta runs away. Hugo Lloris, who is standing out all in orange, is trotting away to the penalty area to our right, and we're just about ready for the start of the match. It's got lots of promise, Clinton Morrison.
Yeah, it has, John. It's one I'm looking forward to. Driving here today, it was a game I was thinking this is going to be an interesting game. Hopefully Tottenham go for it and don't sit back and make it a really interesting game.
Well, if you were like me at the start of last week, I was thinking, knowing that we were going to be at this game, I was thinking that's going to be a potentially tricky evening for Frank Lampard. But things change very quickly.
Just like that, John, you're spot on.
And instead, we've got a new man down there with the Chelsea badge on his chest. And in actual fact, it's Jose Mourinho who's back in the spotlight after 2 successive defeats in the past week, against Liverpool here last Thursday night and at Brighton on Sunday evening. Whereas Thomas Tuchel comes into this having taken 4 points from his first 2 matches and is yet to see his team concede a goal. Before the game begins, referee Andre Mariner blows his whistle and the players take a knee, which seems to have even more significance this week after the events of the past week or so, with all of those awful things on social media. Chelsea playing a long ball forward and a header from Werner, who was up there inside the penalty area, glanced it goalwards and it's dropped just wide of the top corner.
I thought it had gone in because I just saw the net ripple there. It's a great ball from Azpilicueta. Werner makes a run, he gets between Aurier and Alderweireld, and you're thinking it's a difficult header, but I thought it dropped in, but it just gone wide of the post. I think Hugo Lloris would have been beaten there, John.
Timo Werner, who's already scored in this stadium for Chelsea earlier in the season when the sides met in the Carabao Cup. And Tottenham were winners on penalties, if you remember, and he scored for RB Leipzig in the Champions League as well. So he has a bit of form inside this stadium. Here he is, chosen to start tonight as the central striker, and he's caught by Ndombele, and it's a free kick to Chelsea on the right-hand side. Just a little trip, but a free kick to Chelsea in a good position.
Yeah, Bergwijn gave the ball away, and Tottenham's midfield were really open. Sissoko and Højbjerg had gone forward, and Hudson-Odoi burst forward. Give it to Werner, and Ndombele just caught him. So it's a dangerous position, this, with Marcus Alonso and Mason Mount standing over the ball.
So free kick, Mount, Alonso comes across, back in favour, Marcos Alonso. He's got a history of scoring goals for Chelsea against Tottenham. Alonso, after really months on the sidelines until the change of manager, looks as though Mount with the outswinger or Alonso with the inswinger. Tottenham holding a line on the edge of their own penalty area. Here comes Alonso, he runs over it. Mount plays it in towards the penalty spot. That's headed away by Alderweireld, and then Son couldn't clear. So Chelsea have got it back with Hudson-Odoi centrally to Jorginho, then Reece James on the right. Werner's return pass is a little short, and Tottenham should get it away. In fact, there's been a foul in there, and it's a free kick to Tottenham deep inside their own half. So Tottenham 0, Chelsea 0, 2 minutes on the clock. Clinton Morrison's with us here, high up in the stand on the dressing room side of the ground, and we're watching Jose Mourinho just turning and disappearing from our sight back to his seat. They drew in the Carabao Cup, and they drew at Stamford Bridge in the league in November. Tottenham stayed top that day, and that, if you remember, after that match, that's when Jose Mourinho described Tottenham's position in the title race as being like a pony compared to the other horses.
John, I remember that. We did that game, didn't we?
We did.
The 0-0 at Stamford Bridge. Hopefully it's more this one's more entertaining.
Yeah, and that was the debate, wasn't it, afterwards? Because Jose Mourinho, they seemed very satisfied, Tottenham, that day to get a point, come away from a point. But things have slipped since then. Things have slipped for Chelsea too, to the extent that this is a new start for them again. Third match in, Hudson-Odoi playing the ball to Mount on the right-hand side. Mount's cross is blocked by a sliding Davis. Only managed to go a couple of yards away from the cross before Davis was there to block it behind for what is Chelsea's first corner.
They started well, Chelsea, on the front. I think Tottenham miss Reguilon big time though, John. I think he gives them that defensive insurance. I like Ben Davis, but I think he's better in a free. At fullback, I think they miss Reguilon in his defending work and when he gets going forward as well.
Yeah, Reguilon, who's out with a muscle injury at the moment, just got a first sight of Thomas Tuchel down there, who's got a tight black woolly hat on tonight. Not very cold actually here this evening. Mount, by recent standards, Mount will take this corner, and he takes it short into the penalty area. Alonso gives it back to Mount, who's in an offside position. And there's a breath of fresh air. Offside flag goes straight up, which is nice to see. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 0, and free kick to Spurs in front of their own penalty area.
Yeah, you're right though about the offside flag. It does go up too late for me nowadays, that new rule. But yeah, he was offside. It was a well-worked corner from Chelsea, but Mason Mount was offside.
So Tottenham give it back to Lloris to take this. Eric Dyer returning to the side tonight. Just in terms of the way that Chelsea are playing it, Clinton, Hudson-Odoi on the right-hand side.
Yeah, Mason, they're not playing like how we thought they would play. Mason Mount would be on the left. He's playing like in kind of behind it. It looks like Hudson-Odoi and Timo Werner might be a two up front.
Nice from Jorginho, turns and takes it away from Ndombele, but then passes it forward, and Werner trying to scoop it out to the right-hand side, got right underneath it and cleared it straight off the field of play. Højbjerg then forward. Here's Son on the halfway line. His mate's not here at the moment, but he might be back soon, Harry Kane. Son going out to the right-hand side. Aurier has joined the attack. Son now to Bergwijn, back to Son again, rides the challenge, left foot shot, but it's straight at Mendy, who's able to watch it bounce up into his chest and hold on to it.
Yeah, good play from Son. Good break, good little 1-2 with Bergwijn, but the shot lacked any power, and a comfortable save from Mendy. But he'll have to be good tonight, Son. He is going to miss his partner in crime in Harry Kane, who could be back next week.
So Mason Mount then, Clinton, kind of playing behind the front two.
Yeah, it looks like, because they play wing backs, you can see Hudson-Odoi is kind of in the right hand channel, but he's in between Davis and Dyer, and Reece James is really high, Alonso's high. So he's kind of like, yeah, he's got like a free row, hasn't he, John, behind the Timo Werner and Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah, so Kovacic and Jorginho staying in there in the midfield, central midfield positions, as Azpilicueta plays it up centrally, and then Mount in that number 10 position. feeds it forward towards Hudson-Odoi on the edge of the area, but the challenge comes in on him from Dyer.
See, John, that's where Tottenham have to be better. Where you look at other Premier League teams, is when they've won the ball, Eric Dyer just hoofs it back and gives it back to Chelsea, and that's when I think Tottenham fans get frustrated, because they want their team to start playing out a bit more and playing attacking football, and that is just Eric Dyer giving it back to Chelsea.
Yep, Chelsea in possession, 0-0. BBC Radio 5 live from the new Tottenham Stadium, very close to the site of the original White Hart Lane Stadium, as Kovacic now drives forward with it, has a little look up, slides the ball forward. James will do well to get to that. In fact, he couldn't get to it because Ben Davies slid in to take it behind for a corner to Chelsea from the right. Chelsea, the slightly stronger start, but that was promising, what we saw from Tottenham at the other end with Son.
Well, you know what Tottenham are going to do, counter-attacking team, and that was it. They nicked the ball before and then they just broke on Chelsea, but Chelsea have started really well.
Yeah, and Son, as Chelsea had this corner, Son's taken up a position almost in front of Jose Mourinho down here on the side of the pitch, ready for the counter should it come. Mount with a corner to the edge of the 6-yard box. Rudiger goes after it, it's headed away. Alonso shoots, but he shoots into the back of Alderweireld. And now Bergwijn is taking it away up the right-hand side, still going, does well, plays it centrally. Here's Vinicius into the action for the first time on his first Premier League start, but then the ball got caught up underneath his feet and it came to absolutely nothing through the middle. That was promising, came to nothing.
That was brilliant from Bergwijn. He went past Marcos Alonso like he's not there. It was great pace. He should have just carried on going, John. But Vinicius has to do better. He gets his head up, he can roll Son in, and that is where it's different. I'm not going to compare him, but Harry Kane would have looked for his strike partner in Son. He had too many touches.
Yep. But, I mean, how will he be feeling, Clinton? Vinicius.
Very nervous. He knows that he has to do well, because Jose, the manager, can take him off after 45 minutes. He's done it before, and he knows it's big shoes to fill, but it's an opportunity for him.
Well, last time you and I saw him live together, we know what he did. He scored a hat-trick. Admittedly, against a team from the 8th tier, but even so, you know, that's in his recent memory. This is his 7th start in all competitions for this 25-year-old Carlos Vinicius, from the remote northeast of Brazil, who's come through lower leagues in Brazil and is currently on loan from Benfica, with the possibility of a transfer of something in the region of £40 million. Still needs to prove himself. Many Tottenham fans said, why isn't he given his chance when Harry Kane's injured? Well, Jose Mourinho is giving him his chance tonight. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 0. As Chelsea played to Werner to the right-hand side. Timo Werner, 1 goal in his last 17 Chelsea appearances for Timo Werner. Reece James back to Jorginho, whose pass is intercepted on the edge of the box by a sliding Dyer. Very nearly found a way through to Mount, and then headed away by Sissoko. And now Bergwijn lifts it forward. Vinicius takes it down on the top of his left thigh. Gives a little volley out to the right-hand side to Aurier, who's back in favour again, and Tottenham go back to goalkeeper Lloris down to our right. Almost 10 minutes played here. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 0. Ben Davies winning a throw-in. In fact, they thought
he has to do better.
Ben Davies cleared it into James and it bounced back onto Davies and out for a Chelsea throw.
He has to do better. There's no one in front of him, but just go back out. He's trying to force it and not composed enough on the ball. And that's what I say, when Reguilon's there, he'll try to find a way out, and that's what Ben Davies has to improve on.
So this Thursday night football here on 5 Live, with Thiago Silva at the back, giving it to Rudiger on the left-hand side. So this being his 3rd match, Thomas Tuchel, he made, after his first team selection, made 4 changes and changed the system as well. Today, just the 1 change, with Abraham out, Reece James in. So Reece James starting as the right wing back. Hudson-Odoi, now the ball passed by Jorginho through to Mount through the middle. Werner tries to flick it out towards the left-hand side. Alonso's after this. He tees up. Hudson-Odoi might have had a go. Gives it to James, right side of the box. Back to Hudson-Odoi, who places a rather tame shot across the penalty area and out for a... Has that been given as a corner?
Yeah, it's deflected. He said it deflected off someone. Yeah, from where we were, I'm not really sure, but you can see Hudson, he gets it. Obviously, Reece James does well on the right, cuts it back to him, and it might just take a deflection off Eric Dyer, who was 2 yards away from him. But it's good play from Chelsea in the build-up. Timo Werner should have done better. Alonso was on his outside.
Actually, Mount might have taken it on when it was played through initially. But it is a corner. Tottenham didn't complain about it, so that's probably the giveaway. Here is the corner played into the near post. That's headed away by Vinicius. Jorginho pokes it forward on the volley, but it lands on the roof of the net, and it's a goal kick. And the rain's coming down now, Clinton. Heavy rain. Great night for football, though. If you're a centre forward, you like playing in these conditions, John, because you know there can be mistakes and you can follow in shots from goalkeepers. So good night for a centre forward. That's Clinton Morrison, Premier League striker, Republic of Ireland international. Went to the World Cup with Ireland. And we're watching in this world-class stadium Eric Dyer clearing the ball away from the back. It bounces to Reece James, centre field, an England international now, full England international. Jorginho, then back to Rudiger, who looks extremely tall and lean. Rudiger. Thiago Silva, then with a long ball over the top. This is for Werner to chase down towards the corner flag. He did keep it in right next to the flag itself. Alonso now lifts the ball right across the penalty area. James does well to rescue that pass. Then James gets the ball back from Hudson-Odoi. James ball into the near post is blocked. Mount was after it. There was a defender went with him, and Eric Dyer was able to step forward and clear away the ball as it bounced down, and it remains 0-0, but Chelsea have made the stronger start. All over Tottenham, Chelsea. Their movement's been brilliant. The 1 and 2 touch. Reece James is this right hand side. Hudson-Odoi past Davis. His cross in is headed down and partly away. They have a problem on this left hand side here, Tottenham, and Chelsea's right, because Reece James and Hudson-Odoi are causing Ben Davies all kind of problems. Son's staying up high, and it's difficult at the moment. So Jose might have to change their shape, because Chelsea's shape at the moment is tactically, Tuchel's getting it spot on at this precise moment. Yep, he's James and Hudson-Odoi are playing against Ben Davies, and Chelsea coming again. Kovacic out to the right. James chests it down, crosses to the back post, but that's headed away by Alderweireld. Werner's over there quickly though to get the ball back, turns in his green boots, takes on Aurier. Werner's cross, that's beyond everyone, but James is there in the full-back position on the other side. James with the cross, that's over Lloris. Aurier at the back post, wasn't sure, he knew Werner was somewhere, and so he headed it down and behind for a corner. See, it's uncomfortable. He's got time. So if people talk to him, you can see Jose getting frustrated. The ball's come in, and it's been all Chelsea. Tottenham's fullbacks have to stop the crosses in, because it's too easy for Reece James, Alonso, Timo Werner when he goes out there, Hudson-Odoi. And at the moment, Tuchel will be happy because his team has started really well. Yep, Tottenham fans watching and listening all around the country, all around the world, will not like the way that this has started for their team. 0-0. Chelsea with the corner, deep one to the back post, headed across by Thiago Silva, but hooked away by Alderweireld to comparative safety. But the blue shirts of Chelsea have got it back, and the ball is hit by Kovacic, left-footed, down the left-hand side. Alonso gives it back to Mount, whose deflected ball into the penalty area just arcs through to Hugo Lloris, who's able to take a comfortable catch. So Tottenham have withstood that, and Ben Davies is again caught in possession by James, who blocks this out for a throw-in. Concerning for Mourinho. Does he do anything about this? He can change shape and go to a free and try to match Chelsea, but I just feel wing-backs. I think Reece James has started ever so well on this right-hand side, and every time you can see Chelsea are pressing ever so well, so Tottenham can't get out. Ball hit long up towards Vinicius. He'll be expected to hold those sort of balls up, but it bounces off him, and Chelsea have got the ball back. Remember last season Chelsea won 2-0 here when Son was sent off. Remember how he reacted against Rudiger. And Chelsea have not won 2 in a row in the league away from home against Tottenham since the early days when a certain Jose Mourinho was the manager of Chelsea. Here's Azpilicueta. For those who weren't listening earlier, Mourinho, having lost last week against Liverpool, faces the possibility of losing successive home matches, 2 in a row at home in the league for the first time as a manager. James plays it across. Now here's Mount on the right-hand side. Then up towards James, but Tottenham are able to pounce on the loose ball. Davis, but then it's short to Davis. Davis might have given away a free kick there, and then his clearance is blocked again by James. That's the 3rd time, and then Davis sliding plays it off Werner, and behind for a goal kick. It's an uncomfortable start for Ben Davies.
It's awkward. Him and Sissoko, they're trying to play out. They don't look comfortable in possession, Tottenham. When they're on the ball, Chelsea are just pressing them and they're giving them no space or time. Jose will be worried because it's only a matter of time before Chelsea take the lead on this evidence so far that we've seen.
Tottenham goal kick. Looks as though they're going to play it out short from the back, which they do. It's 0-0. 15 minutes played, and then it's hit long. But it's won back by Azpilicueta, and Chelsea have got it back once again inside their own half.
John, wait, so Hugo Lloris gets the ball, right? And he just plays it to Eric Dyer, who's 5 yards away. He then pings it up the field to Son, and it's a flight ball. Why can't Hugo Lloris do that and then Tottenham just get up and step up the field 10 yards?
It's a good question. As Højbjerg plays it back to Alderweireld. So it's Alderweireld and Dyer again, the central defensive partnership for Tottenham. Dyer hits it long for Vinicius, but Thiago Silva read that easily. He's able to clear it back downfield, and Tottenham have to start from the back once again. Jose Mourinho's got a lot to think about here. 0-0. Chelsea have made a strong start. Spurs subs tonight. Gareth Bale, Lamela, Lucas Moura, Harry Winks are on the bench, as well as Doherty, Sanchez, Rodon, Tanganga and goalkeeper Hart. Here's Aurier on the right hand side. A rare Tottenham attack. Plays it back towards Højbjerg, forward of the centre circle. Højbjerg threads it square, and then Ndombele plays it into the area, but Son went one way, the ball went behind him, and the ball was easily picked up by Edouard Mendy, who's kept clean sheets in his last 2 matches, and that's almost the first thing he's done tonight. And I think there's a problem with the ball, Clinton. 77% Chelsea possession so far. 77.
It's not unusual though. When you play against Tottenham, most teams have that kind of possession, but Tottenham fans want to see a bit of a change. You can when they're on the ball, John, they're not even using it well enough. They're just giving it straight back to Chelsea, and they can't get out at this precise moment. So it will be worrying for Jose.
Goal kick to Chelsea. Thomas Tuchel has taken that opportunity to have a word with both Reece James and Hudson-Odoi, who are on his side of the field. But as much as anything, just feel that that's a little bit of mind games going on there, because he knows they've made a good start and now he's gathered them across. It's almost like giving them a pat on the back and saying, yeah, now then, see if you can really make this count. And here they do, yet again. Chelsea coming down the right hand side. James, now Mount back to Werner, and then Jorginho, and then Kovacic over towards the left hand side. Werner, and then out to Alonso again. Marcus Alonso's ball cross-field.
Not tight enough.
Taken up by Mount. Then Reece James to Hudson-Odoi on the right-hand side. Chelsea knocking the ball from side to side around the Tottenham penalty area, and then back it goes towards the halfway line to Azpilicueta. Azpilicueta and Alonso were the scorers, weren't they, against Burnley at the weekend? It's like the old days, wasn't it, to see those two on the score sheet? Azpilicueta apparently has now scored under 6 different Chelsea managers. Azpilicueta to Werner on the edge of the box. The challenge comes in on him. It's a good one from Dyer, and then Højbjerg plays it away. Vinicius has got an awful lot to do here. He takes the ball down. He's got support coming now from Bergwijn. Vinicius chips it across to the left hand side, and Ndombele, awkward bouncing ball, gets it down, drives it across, but straight at Mendy, and the goalkeeper's able to catch it comfortably.
He has to do better than that. And Ndombele, it was good play from Vinicius, good run. You were probably thinking go and take Rudiger on, but when Ndombele gets in that position with his ability, he should be taking on the defender. He's one-on-one in the box.
Yeah, but that's what it's about. You know, tonight is an opportunity to take your chance for Vinicius, and you know, the way that the match has started, it seems Tottenham, certainly in the first half, might not get too many opportunities like that. So when they come along, you've got to grab them, and Tottenham haven't been able to do that so far.
Do you know the problem? Who's giving them all the problems, John? It's Mason Mount. He's in that pocket, and they don't know who to pick him up.
Out to the left-hand side to Alonso. Little ball to Mount, who comes short over there. Højbjerg has gone with him. There's Kovacic as well, back up the line. Kante is on the bench tonight for Chelsea, incidentally, not ready to come back into the starting lineup. Or alternatively, Tuchel has decided he wanted to stick with Jorginho and Kovacic as his central two. Thiago Silva now standing over the ball and just giving a little pass to Jorginho. Yeah, Mason Mount playing in this central position. He's seen a lot of the ball. He's found a lot of space. Given away, though, here by Jorginho. Sissoko's ball forward just gives possession back to Chelsea, who have it inside their own half.
John, do you know why he's seeing it? Because Eric Dyer should come out, it should be Dyer that marks Hudson-Odoi, but it's Sissoko or Højbjerg have to drop in and mark in one of them, and that frees up Mason Mount because everyone else is picked up. So that's what they're doing. Eric Dyer is the free man. He should be coming out as a centre-half to pick it up, and then they can push the centre midfielders on. Thiago Silva overhits the pass over the top, over the inside right position, looking for the run of Hudson-Odoi, but that just bounced through to Hugo Lloris. So 21, almost quarter of the way through the match. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 0. Only made one note so far, Clinton, and that was the header from Werner in the first few seconds of the match that dropped just wide. So Chelsea have had all of this possession, but not really done anything with it, and Kovacic then overhits a pass that Werner had no chance of reaching, and it's out for a throw. You're spot on, John. For all the possession, I think Tuchel will be disappointed. They've not created any clear-cut chances. As you said, only the header of note, really, from Werner, and that was half a chance right at the start of the game. There he is down there, quite warmly wrapped up, all in Chelsea blue. Trainers on tonight, very tight blue Chelsea tracksuit bottoms, and as I say, with that black woolly hat. I was going to say that tight or fitted, John. Fitted, do you think? New style, yeah. That is, it's nice and, fitted. Yeah. They make them nice and fitted nowadays, these tracksuits. Well, not in my day and age, they're all baggy, John. No, well, I think that's, probably for the best. But he's okay, Thomas Tuchel. He doesn't have too many extra ounces on him. I knew we'd see him at some stage in the Premier League. I think it was always very clear, when we go away and cover his matches with Borussia Dortmund or Paris Saint-Germain, and you would hear him talk. And actually for years and years now, when I've sat in press conferences, pre-match, post-match, he's such a good communicator, and his English, as we now all know, is so good. I just felt it was an inevitability that we would see him at some stage, and here he is. On the touchline next to Jose Mourinho, watching his team, Chelsea, come forward. Werner inside the box. Challenge from Dyer, and it's a penalty. What is he doing? The ball was on the ground. Dyer fell to earth, and with Werner standing there, Dyer sort of kicked out at the ball, caught Werner. Werner went down. It's a penalty. It is a penalty, and you know what? He's made the first, and he knows Werner's ahead of him. Surely he's there. Alderweireld's there. You no need to foul him. He's not going anywhere. And Werner gets his body in, and you can see Eric Dyer catches him, and it is a penalty. I think Marin has made the right decision. Oh yeah, he just puts his foot in, Werner, trying to get to the ball just as Dyer was looking to scoop it away. So it's a penalty. VAR has had a quick look and said yes, absolutely. So Jorginho, he's missed a few. He has. He's missed a few this season. He's missed 3 penalties this season, scored 4. Jorginho to give Chelsea the lead, right-footed. Oh, Lloris diving to his right, couldn't get there. It's a goal for Chelsea. Jorginho from the penalty spot, and it's Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1, and Chelsea have converted all of this pressure into an opening goal here at the Tottenham Stadium. And it's what Chelsea deserved. Tottenham have been poor so far. Chelsea have been outstanding. I'm surprised with that penalty, John, because he probably surprised you because he didn't do the run-up where he stutters. He just went up and took the penalty, and I don't know if the new manager's come in and said you're the penalty taker, because I think I'd seen Timo Werner take it a few times because Jorginho had missed a few. But yeah, it's what Chelsea deserved. Not good enough from Eric Dyer, to be fair. He's come back into the team after being dropped, and Joe Rodon must be sitting on the bench thinking, what do I have to do to stay in this team? So Jose Mourinho standing all alone on the edge of the coaching area, and he's seen his current team go behind inside the first 25 minutes to his old team Chelsea. And Tottenham have a lot to do. 1-0 down, still quite early in the match, but the way that it started for Spurs is not promising at all, and Aurier can't keep the ball in on the far side, and it's a throw-in to Chelsea. John, is poor. You know what, I think Tottenham fans, they get frustrated because the way they set up Tottenham, it's like they set up like they're going to concede, and then when they'll start playing once they've conceded. Why don't they ever start on the front foot? I can guarantee you, John, if there was fans in here, they'd be going mad at this precise moment. They wouldn't accept this, that's for sure. No, they would not. Chelsea leading by 1-0. Jorginho
His 5th goal of the season, all of them penalties. And you're absolutely right. That little bounce, the little leap, Bruno Fernandes and Jorginho do it. Fernandes this season to more successful effect, but he occasionally cuts it out, doesn't he, Bruno Fernandes? So maybe Jorginho's had a look at him and thought, you know, I'm going to vary this.
Yeah.
And there was no jump, bounce, leap, whatever you call it. He just stepped up, and even though Lloris went the right way, to his right, it was a good penalty. James plays it in low to the near post, cleared to Højbjerg, might have been fouled there. No free kick given by referee Mariner. James again on the right hand side. Chelsea, no let up from them. They're going for the second goal here. Kovacic to the edge of the box, but across comes Davis to clear it away. Rudiger wins it back. Alonso, little ball to Werner on the left hand side. Werner up against Alderweireld, little change of feet, still going, gives it to Mount, and then back to Kovacic over on the left hand side. Over there in amongst all of those empty black seats. The electronic boards are changing on 1, 2, 3, 4 different levels, and it's quite off-putting. Mount now centrally, 25 yards out. He's on his left foot. He's still going. He's away from Ndombele and Aurier, and then gives it to Kovacic, whose cross towards the back post is headed away by Davis for Tottenham. James has got it down. James back to Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi then passes the ball straight to Sissoko. Son, who's barely been able to get involved in the game, does well. Plays it back to Højbjerg, who passes it forward to Bergwijn, and then Bergwijn's attempted ball forward is intercepted by a stretching Thiago Silva.
This whole left side for Tottenham, defensively, Dyer and Davis not been good enough. And you can see here, Reece James is having a field day, playing 1-2s with Hudson-Odoi, and they can't contain him on the right-hand side.
Chelsea get a second goal. This is going to be very, very hard for Tottenham to get anything out of this. You would have to say that. Werner takes it down. Almost half an hour played here. BBC Radio 5 Live in this bumper week of commentaries that we've brought you across 5 Live and Sports Extra. Here's another one on a Thursday night. Whatever you're doing in lockdown, in your kitchen or your bath. People might like a Thursday night bath, Clinton, might be listening to us. Here's people have probably never bathed so much in the past year. Lloris clearing it to the halfway line. Vinicius heads it on, but to no one, in a white shirt anyway. Chelsea have got it back, and James then back to Azpilicueta on the back line. Mentioned the fact Azpilicueta scored under 6 different Chelsea managers. John Terry scored under 13 different Chelsea managers. That's the most. Here's Alonso on the left hand side. Alonso tackled by Aurier. Now Tottenham might be able to bring it away, but Alonso slides in, fouls, and Ndombele take a quick free kick. Tottenham. Højbjerg through the middle to Son. It's almost like watching Morecambe without Wise. Son without Kane. You see him get the ball, and it's almost, even from up here, you almost think he's first reaction is almost to look for Kane. Ball played forward towards Ndombele, because Jorginho, he's almost giving him a piggyback. It's a free kick to Tottenham, which they take quickly again. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. Jorginho from the penalty spot in the 24th minute after Eric Dyer's poor challenge, really. It was a clumsy one, wasn't it? Dyer on the ground in the penalty area. The ball was between him and Werner, who was standing on his feet. And just as Dyer was swinging his foot to clear the ball, Werner stepped in between Dyer's foot and the ball and was clipped. It was a clear penalty. Chelsea have got it in front of their own penalty area. Thiago Silva turns away from Son. Son heading one way, Thiago Silva turning the other with the ball. Gives it across to Rudiger. And they've got a confident feel about them, Chelsea. They've settled very quickly under Thomas Tuchel, who stands now and applauds with his hands above his head for the way that Chelsea are playing this around at the back. I know a number of parallels, Clinton, have been made with the fact that having played with the back 4 in his first match, he then switched to the 3 central defenders and stuck with that tonight. Point being made that was the system that Antonio Conte was very faithful to when Chelsea last won the league in 2017.
Yeah, and it worked, so why change it? To be fair, if it's working for you, don't change it.
Here's Kovacic. He's off on a run towards the edge of the penalty area. Gives it to Werner. Werner just on the edge of the box. Back to Kovacic. Now square to James. Thought about a shot. James then to Hudson-Odoi on the right-hand side. 2 Tottenham players in front of him. Little drop of the shoulder. Hudson-Odoi then gives it back more centrally to goal scorer Jorginho. And then James. Davis was in tight on him. Hudson-Odoi slips over. And then Sissoko in with the challenge, and the ball bounces out of play for a Tottenham throw. Half an hour played.
Chelsea's game. He wants to get to half time, Jose, and then he's got to either change the shape or change personnel, because at the moment, you're right, John, if Chelsea get the next goal, this game's over. And I'll say if they get it before half time, it definitely be over. I can't see Tottenham getting back into it. They've been lackluster. They're not put no pressure on Chelsea. It's been comfortable.
Well, what did he say about them after the Brighton game? In fact, we'll come back to that, because Rudiger's off on a wander forward towards the edge of the box, but he was challenged actually by Bergwijn, who went with him and dispossessed him, so Rudiger slipped over on the edge of the area. He said it was a sad performance, didn't he, from Tottenham on Sunday night against Brighton, and they do look bereft almost certainly against this Chelsea team. Rain falling heavily again now under the floodlights, and Tottenham with the ball inside their own penalty area. Højbjerg walks back towards Alderweireld.
Slow. Look at John, it's slow. Look, Chelsea look, that's what happens when you move the ball so slow like that. Chelsea just set up and then they'll press you, and Højbjerg just passes it out of place. Too slow from Tottenham at the moment.
Yeah, Chelsea suddenly much quicker, much slicker. Mount on the edge of the area, shoots left-footed, but pulls it well wide and puts his hands up to his face immediately. That's the one thing this season from Mason Mount. Just the 3 goals so far, and all through his career he's been someone who has contributed with goals from midfield. 8 in the whole of last season, scored 11 the season before from Derby, and I've always felt the way that his career has gone, that number, that count will increase. But poor touch from him there with the shot from the edge of the area. 1-0 Chelsea lead. Nevertheless, here's Højbjerg to Alderweireld. Here's the long ball from Tottenham, looking for the run of Son. Thiago Silva was able to race across and stretch right-footed and clear, and now Kovacic away from Aurier. Kovacic gives it to Werner. Now Werner's up against Alderweireld with his pace, could take him on. In fact, Sissoko is very quickly in there to help Alderweireld out, so Werner has had to cut infield and then give it square to James, who's away from Davis. And actually, I'm not sure Chelsea made the best of that, and it's back further towards the halfway line, and Thiago Silva has stayed down, after sliding in to intercept that intended pass. It might be that he has injured his shoulder the way that he fell.
Yeah, it was great the way he was stretching, because Son was in there. It was really good defending,
and he stayed down, and he stretched for it foot first with his hands behind him, and it is as I say, it's a wet night. The pitch has got quite a lot of moisture on it, and as he went down, we've just seen a slow motion. The water splashed up, and he caught both his palms on the ground at the same time with straight arms. I'm just wondering whether he might have maybe just popped his shoulder out. Although in saying that, yeah, I think they are looking at his arm. So this is a moment of worry.
I think it's his knee. It's his leg.
It's the other end.
Yeah, it's the leg. It's the stretching. Is Kurt Zouma, is he injured? Is he injured at the moment, John? Kurt Zouma?
Yes.
Oh, he is. I
knock.
was surprised why he's not even on the bench, because it looked like they're bringing on Christensen.
In this idle moment, Clinton, producer George, interviewer, George has found a picture of you in an extremely baggy tracksuit.
Yeah, alongside Roy Keane, isn't it?
It is, that's the one.
It's a baggy one. That was the Island kit. It was baggy training kit back then.
That Clinton, is not figure hugging.
No, it's not. It's very baggy. I was just telling Roy how good I was, John, and that one day I'd be doing the media. He didn't believe me, but I told him I'd do it.
Who's laughing now?
Exactly.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes, that's like that was the old Bob Monkhouse joke. I told him I'd be a comedian, and who's laughing now? Well, Thiago Silva, that's going to be the end of his night. It looks like he's got the right leg of his shorts pulled right up, and He is walking off the field, but Andreas Christensen is going to come on for his first taste of action under Thomas Tuchel's management. So Thiago Silva out, and with the whole of the games coming and the influence that he's had, obviously that would be a miss. It's a knock that Kurt Zouma has, so the suggestion is that it's not too serious. But here's Christensen coming on for a piece of the action. 10 minutes to go to half-time. Thiago Silva just walks across and he points to Thomas Tuchel. He's pointing to his upper inside right thigh. So he's just felt something there. It's just the impact, wasn't it, when he hit the ground?
Yeah. It was a great recovery. He was stretching, so he's probably overstretched something, John.
Yeah. And at 36, that can happen. Chelsea leading by 1-0 as Tottenham with the ball deep inside their own half. Davis now bringing it forward, but James is across and blocks it out of play on the halfway line. So this being a Thursday night, test match starts in India in the early hours, so we'll have all of the news on that at breakfast time in the morning. As Azpilicueta is caught by a swinging arm by Vinicius, and that's a free kick to Chelsea. Azpilicueta stayed down.
You know, in those situations as a centre forward, you have to use your arms to back in. And it's not a foul. It's not a foul. He has to. If a centre half wants to come through the back of you, he's just swinging his arm out to do that. I'd get so many yellow cards nowadays, John, because I loved using my elbows if centre halves were coming through the back of me.
And we could hear I'm not sure whether it was actually the genuine sound of Azpilicueta screaming in pain. Yeah. I was watching a match the other night where the sound was obviously, it was like watching Saving Private Ryan.
There was a lot, I think I remember what game you're talking about as well, John. There was a lot of screaming in that. Yeah. It was crazy.
I know. Here's Azpilicueta playing it forward up towards Mount. Now Hudson-Odoi on the right hand side. Hudson-Odoi infield. James nice interplay. Hudson-Odoi then out to the left hand side. Alonso is there, takes a couple of steps back up against Aurier, then gives it back towards Kovacic. 1-0 Chelsea lead. Jorginho's penalty in the 24th minute. Here's Mount now to Reece James, and Chelsea go back into their own half. Lots and lots of positives for Chelsea tonight for Thomas Tuchel. We've talked a lot about Tottenham and Jose Mourinho's problems here tonight as the rain continues to pour down on his head. But Thomas Tuchel has got a new coat down there. Somebody's brought him out another jacket. Instead of the tight blue number, he's got a tight duck egg blue number with a little hood. Thomas Tuchel. Now the ball to the right hand side. Azpilicueta plays it into the edge of the box, but a sliding interception from Sissoko takes it out of play for a throw into Chelsea down the right. And possibly the most damning thing for Tottenham is that it's been so comfortable for Chelsea.
It has. I'm telling you, they need to get to half time because it's just been dominant. It's been so good from Chelsea. They've kept the ball, they've played forward with a purpose, and when Tottenham have been on the ball, they've pressed them and not let Tottenham out of their half. It's been brilliant from Chelsea so far.
Rudiger then works a pass to the left hand side. Werner. Alderweireld comes across. Alonso. That thick hair of his is now beginning to be plastered to his hair, Alonso, in this heavy rain as it is now. Christensen's bringing the ball forward. Thought he might have had a shot. He's never scored for Chelsea, but instead gives it to James. Now Hudson-Odoi with some space on the right, swings the ball into the near post, but Dyer is there to head it down and behind the near post for another Chelsea corner. This is their 5th corner. Tottenham haven't had one yet.
No, it's been good. See, again, like you got runners on this side again, Hudson-Odoi and Reece James combining. It's brilliant from Chelsea, causing all kind of problems down this right-hand side. And I say it, Tottenham can't live with them at the moment. Them two and Mason Mount in the little pockets causing problems.
Mount with the corner. Players gathered between the penalty spot and the edge of the area. He's taken it short to Hudson-Odoi, corner of the box. Little touch back to Mount. Mount lifts it in. Oh, he's got right underneath that, and that's a poor ball from Mount. He had such an opportunity there. It was a clear opening, and he went for that little lift to the back post, got right underneath it, and it just drifted through for a goal kick.
And they worked on that, didn't they do that about 10-15 minutes ago where it was offside? So surely you've got to send 2 players out there to deal with it, Tottenham.
Tottenham playing it out from the back, not terribly convincingly. And then Alderweireld, right-footed towards the halfway line. Vinicius is able to chest it down. Here's Ndombele. Ndombele wriggles away from Jorginho and then passes the ball straight into Rudiger. He's fortunate that it bounced back to Sissoko. And so Tottenham still have it and still continue to come forward. Davis, here's Son, arms swinging, plays the square pass, but that's beyond Ndombele, and Chelsea have got it back. And when the teams were announced tonight, Clinton, you were making the point that Jose Mourinho had the Ndombele, Højbjerg, Sissoko midfield, this strong midfield when they were top of the Premier League, looked so good.
Yeah, that was the three when they were doing ever so well, and then he changed and went to a three at the back, and they started not getting results. I know they got a result against Sheffield United, and he kind of stayed with the same formula, but I think this is the best when they've got every personnel fit and available. I think the Tottenham, the way they play with the 4-3-3, I think it's the best shape for them, especially with those three in midfield, and you can throw Harry Winks into that mix as well.
Here's a chance though, a foul by Alonso on Aurier over on the far side, almost up level with the edge of the penalty area, but just a few strides in from the touchline on the right. And with half-time just 4 minutes away, plus added time, Chelsea leading 1-0. Tottenham have a free kick that Son fires in, and Aurier with a header, but he's headed it wide in between two Chelsea defenders, but just over 6 yards out, down wide of the post by a yard.
Yeah, it's a chance. He gets in there, and once he gets in there, he gets the run. It's a free header. He'll be disappointed, and you can see, because once he gets in that position and he can see a clear flight of the ball, he should really be hitting the target.
That would have been a surprise if little Aurier had scored from a set piece with a header, but he headed it wide. And I'll make a note of that, and that is the first note really I've made. Perhaps I should have made a note of Son when he had his opportunity a little earlier on. I'll do that as well. But neither of them causing Edouard Mendy to make a save, and in actual fact, still under Tuchel, the opponents, whether it be Wolves or Burnley or Tottenham tonight, have managed to have an attempt on target against Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea. Here's Son, who is shoved over by Azpilicueta, 15 yards inside his own half, and it's a free kick to Tottenham.
See what when Tottenham tried to press, they go as individuals, they don't go together, and that's why Chelsea are playing out. You can see Bergwijn went, Aurier went, then Sissoko and Højbjerg are too deep. They need to get up, and that's Tottenham's defence calling them back. They need to get up the pitch and a further 10 yards, and then they can go and pressure Chelsea.
Tottenham with Sissoko, heads it forward, but still inside the Tottenham half. The vast majority of this game has been played inside the Tottenham half. But Chelsea, that's the two frustrations: the fact that they've not been able to create more chances, Chelsea, and obviously the injury to Thiago Silva. Chelsea's next match is against Sheffield United on Sunday night. Informed Sheffield United, 7:15. That's one of the 5 live commentaries this coming weekend. Another weekend stacked with Premier League commentaries, and indeed lots of live sport this weekend on 5 Live and Sports Extra. Liverpool, Manchester City is top of the bill. 5 Live, the place to hear that on Sunday afternoon. But also the Super Bowl is on Sunday evening. Darren Fletcher will be commentating on that. He's here this evening. We've had a little word with him. Vernon Kay is presenting the programme Sunday evening on Sports Extra. We've got the 6 Nations all across 5 Live this weekend. The golf in Saudi as well. And obviously the Test match 2. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1, as Højbjerg is fouled, and it's a free kick to Chelsea, to Tottenham just inside their own half. Mount turns it back, and Eric Dyer, the man who conceded the penalty, comes across, his shirt plastered to his body in these very damp conditions now. Dyer, but it goes through the middle to Vinicius, who's beaten in the air by Rudiger.
What can he, John, honestly, if I'm the centre forward and you're playing them straight balls up to me, what can I do with that? Play it to my chest or into my feet so I can hold it up.
And here's Hudson-Odoi now at the other end. Hudson-Odoi, who's weaving his way into the penalty area, tried to drive it across the box. It was blocked by Eric Dyer, who was the player he was up against. And actually Son is now breaking away down the left-hand side, but Chelsea very quickly get players back behind the ball, and Tottenham have gone nowhere with it. They've gone back into their own half.
Yeah, but his son's waiting for support. He's the only one who's getting forward. There's other players need to get forward and help out Son. He must be getting frustrated. I'm frustrated for him up here watching him.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Andy Madley has just arrived on the edge of the pitch with his electronic board. 2 minutes of added time. Tottenham trying to snatch what would be an unlikely goal at the end of this first period. Son out to Davis on the left-hand side. Ben Davis then infield towards Ndombele. Ndombele passes a little short. Chelsea could be away on the counter-attack now. They've won it back. Here's Werner. Werner running at the Tottenham defence, but the ball sort of got stuck. Not sure whether that's the moisture on the pitch, and he had to turn and check back and give it to Alonso, and Alonso swings one of those Alonso passes to the right-hand side. Reece James takes it down. James and Hudson-Odoi. Oh, and then Son arrives late, but Hudson-Odoi managed to evade it. Mount back to Jorginho. Just over a minute of added time to go. Azpilicueta to Reece James. Reece James forward for Hudson-Odoi. Dyer slides in. He managed to get the ball, or at least enough of the ball, and then plays it forward off Hudson-Odoi for a throw into Tottenham in their own left-back area. Clinton Morrison.
Yeah, that was better defending from Eric Dyer. Sometimes, you know, when you're losing a football match, you got to let people know you're about. Jamaica tackles. I know there's, and that's where Tottenham are missing these fans. But as I said earlier, they're probably lucky the fans ain't in there, because at half-time they'll be going off, they'll be getting booed because it hasn't been good enough. Chelsea, full credit to them, they've been outstanding so far.
Yeah, the Tottenham fans, as Vinicius tangles with Azpilicueta, and I thought that looked as though it might have been a swinging arm as well, that didn't catch Azpilicueta, but he emerged from that, Azpilicueta, waving his own arms about. I don't think he liked that physical approach from Vinicius. What a flick that was by Rudiger to Kovacic, and now James chests it down on the edge of the box, square from him to Mount. Mount with a shot, it's deflected up into the air, and Lloris is able to come forward and catch the ball outside the 6-yard box.
That was good defending from Eric Dyer. Really important block. Really good block that was.
Thomas Tuchel very animated there on the edge of his coaching area. There's the half-time whistle, and Jose Mourinho has disappeared immediately down the tunnel, just using his hand to spray the water off the top of his grey hair, and the players leaving the field. Tottenham's players with their heads down. Chelsea lead by only 1-0, but they've dominated it, Clinton.
No, they have, and thoroughly deserved. They should be probably going in more ahead. They've had little half chances like Mason Mount at the end, but good block from Eric Dyer, but they've been the better team. Jose will be disappointed. I'd be surprised if he doesn't make changes or tries to change the shape, because Tuchel's got his tactics spot on, and Chelsea deservedly winning this game so far.
Tottenham have got a lot to do, but Chelsea have scored just the 1 goal so far. Half-time here in the rain in North London. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1.
Clinton, the playbook certainly this season for these absolutely, massive heavyweight clashes is to be really cautious and to try and not lose. I don't think Thomas Tuchel's seen that playbook, has he?
Nah, that's a playbook only for Jose Mourinho, Tottenham. That's been all of their games this season. These games you can't sit back, Crossy. You have to go forward and go on the front foot, and that's what Chelsea have done. They've been outstanding. Tottenham have let them do that, though. They've just sat back and thought, you know what, you're going to come at us. But the difference is Chelsea have got the quality to break down that Tottenham defence. I know it was a mistake from Eric Dyer. He gives the penalty away, but they've had so much spaces. Mason Mount's picking up little pockets, and Reece James and Hudson-Odoi have called Ben Davis all kind of problems down the right-hand side.
Just looking at the messages that we're getting to 85058 and at 5 Live Sport. Spurs fans furious. A lot of them saying a lot of the stuff you've been saying in commentary. Adam, Mourinho has killed the tempo in this team with negative football. This is exactly why most fans didn't want him. Maya, Jose Mourinho is so concerned with results that he's forgotten we're supposed to enjoy watching football. I like this one from Oliver Clinton, who's a Spurs fan. What are we doing?
Yeah, I'd have to probably agree with Oliver. What are they doing? Because that first half, they were nowhere near it. And I know Tottenham, he sets up like that, but usually they go forward and have an attack. I'm watching Son and Vinicius. They're so isolated. Bergwijn had to come inside and play more central because they were getting overrun in that midfield area because of the Chelsea's free at the back, and the wing backs were so high in Alonso and James. So at the moment, Tuchel is out tactical out-faulting Jose Mourinho. Sorry.
I think the issue is that the Tottenham fans, when they've been able to watch Tottenham when they've been in their stride this season, I mean, some of the players been breathtaking and thrilling, hasn't it, with Son and Kane together, and I think that's part of the frustration side. There's no Kane, and Son just looks almost lost without him.
Yep. Well, Chelsea having things all their own way. The only disappointment for Thomas Tuchel will be that they didn't get a second goal. John Clinton, thank you very much for the time being. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1 at Stamford Bridge. Second half commentary to come. We're going to get the latest for the Australian Open next, and we will hear from the world number 1, Ashley Barty. We'll get the news first with Aaron Paul.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Steve. In the past hour, government sources have confirmed to the BBC that the hotel quarantine scheme for UK residents arriving from COVID hotspots will come into force on the 15th of February, with hotels potentially being asked to accommodate more than 1,000 people a day. The Bank of England has estimated that the UK economy will contract by more than 4% in the first quarter of this year before bouncing back as the rollout of coronavirus vaccines takes effect. It now thinks the economy will grow by 5% later this year, down from the previous forecast of 7.25%, that as a result of the current COVID restrictions and the emergence of new variants. Northern Ireland's Chief Constable has said the political rhetoric over post-Brexit trade agreements needs to be de-escalated. Inspections of food consignments at Northern Irish ports have been suspended for a third day after threats against staff. The US National Security Advisor has said President Biden intends to take action against Russia to make it pay for misbehaviour and force it to change. Jake Sullivan told a news conference the US wanted to hold Moscow accountable for a range of malign activities. And more than 180 organisations have called for a boycott of the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing because of China's abuse of human rights. Groups representing Uyghurs, Tibetans and residents of Hong Kong said the hopes that awarding the Games to Beijing would be a catalyst for progress had faded.
The voice of sport.
5 Live Sports Extra.
NFL Super Bowl 55.
This Sunday evening on BBC Radio 5 Live, join myself, Vernon Kay, Darren Fletcher and 3-time Pro Bowler Maurice Jones-Drew as we guide you through all the action in Tampa.
History can be made. Tom Brady back in a Super Bowl, playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Patrick Mahomes looking to make it 2 out of 2. It's got everything.
Tom Brady continues to defy the league.
Super Bowl 55. Sunday night from 11
on 5 Live and BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport
with Steve Crossman.
Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1, half-time in the Premier League. Second half commentary to come. The Australian Open tennis is due to start on Monday and in front of crowds too. Warm-up tournaments and practice is well underway as the players get over their hotel quarantine. Let's bring in our tennis correspondent Russell Fuller. There was a pause in action today after a positive test at one of those hotels, though.
Yes, 160 players affected, Steve. It was a hotel quarantine worker who tested positive, and they spent much of Thursday in self-isolation. They were tested earlier in the morning. I think most have probably had the all clear by now. Some of those even had a chance to practice at Melbourne Park. I can't say whether everybody has had a result yet, and therefore the Australian Open is not completely out of the woods. But as far as we know, play goes on. The warm-up events will continue on Friday. There will be 8 matches on one court on the Margaret Court Arena. The women's matches, if they go to a third set, there'll be a 10-point tiebreak instead of a regular set to try and save a little bit of time. And the men, and Dan Evans is one of these, may have to play 2 matches in a day. And if he does win his first match, then his second match could be against Nick Kyrgios. So there's lots happening overnight, including the draw for the Australian Open as well, which is pushed back 24 hours.
All right, let's hear from one of the biggest names in the sport. Fingers crossed we do get play on Monday. The home crowd will be desperate to see the world number 1, the hometown favourite, Ash Barty, who until a few weeks ago hadn't competed for 11 months.
Early on through March and May, I barely picked up a tennis racket. I think it was a time for the whole world to kind of digest what was happening. And, you know, I felt like that was an opportunity for me to just kind of absorb what was going on and try and figure it out. You know, since October, we've been in full training, in full pre-season. So I think it was an opportunity for us to work on a few things in our game. But obviously we're now really excited to be back out here for an Australian summer doing what we love.
So what did you do when you stopped playing? How did you fill the time?
Well, I mean, I played plenty of golf at home. With our restrictions, we were still allowed to play golf. So played plenty of golf, but otherwise I was just at home with my family as much as I could within the rules and obviously just enjoying a breezy winter, which is something I haven't had in a few years now.
What's the handicap down to?
I shaved a few shots off. I'm sitting off about 3 at the moment, so it's been nice to play a little bit consistently. Tennis isn't the be all and end all for me. It's not the end of the world. I have a lot of exciting things and a lot of brilliant things in my life that make me happy. So it was nice to be able to spend some time at home, be really grateful for what I have at home.
Yeah, and that makes complete sense. I just wonder when it came to it and you were watching the US Open, the French Open in particular, not having the chance to defend your title, whether there was anxiety on your part or frustration at missing out.
There was obviously the decision that we made to not go to the French Open was probably the toughest of the whole year, not being able to try and defend my first Grand Slam title. But in all honesty, I didn't watch any. I didn't kind of sit there and wishing and thinking I wish that was me. Because I was completely happy and completely content with what I had at home, and knowing that I made all the right decisions. Not one bit of me had any bit of regret or any bit of a fear of missing out. I know that I made the decisions for the right reasons, and I slept pretty well at night knowing that.
Do you know what to expect tennis-wise over the next few weeks?
I know that I've prepared as best that I can. I've done the work, and now we just wait and see. I think there's no expectations other than I go out there, I enjoy it, I thrive in the competition again, and I think just go out there and have some fun.
And do you feel like the best player in the world?
I feel like for me, I'm getting the best out of myself, and that's all that matters.
Because it's a strange one, isn't it? You've got that title, which you've earned, and I'm sure that gives you a lot of confidence, but I wonder if part of you doesn't quite believe it because you've not been on court for so long.
Yeah, but I think, like you said, I felt like we've earned the position at the top of the rankings, and I know that I do a hell of a lot of work off the court to try and be the best that I can be, and that's all I can do. I can't control what any other athletes do out in the court. I can't control how they prepare, but I know that for myself and for my team, we cross every T and dot every I to the best of our ability, and try and give ourselves the best chance of improving every day.
Really interesting. World number 1 Ash Barty with Russell Fuller. Russ, the thing that strikes me about that particularly is that last question, because this isn't just somebody who is a top athlete in their sport. It's somebody who is brilliant at everything, and now it seems golf too.
Yeah, the handicap is 3, as you said there. It makes you sick. Here's a woman who's used to taking a break from professional tennis, not because of pandemics, but because she actually took some time away from the sport to play for the Brisbane Heat in the women's cricket Big Bash. So she has some idea of what to expect perhaps this week, but really no idea how she's going to fare in the Australian Open. She reached the semi-finals last year, lost to Sophia Kenin in the last 4. I think probably the pressure, the expectations got to her a little bit on that occasion. But she's won a couple of matches in the warm-up event. She's in the quarterfinals overnight. And look at the names of the other players who are in the quarterfinals. A great lineup. There's a repeat of last year's Australian Open final between Sophia Kenin and Garbine Muguruza. Serena Williams is there. Simona Halep, Naomi Osaka too. So lots of the big names finding some form just at the right time.
No Andy Murray, of course, but we do know when we will see him back on court.
And he's going to play not just in a challenger tournament, so the level below the main ATP tour, but in the qualifying event of a challenger tournament in Italy next week. This will be in Biella, a small city in the north of Italy. For a while, all players, and Andy Murray's now included in this, who are outside the European Union, travelling from outside the European Union, thought that they would have to do 2 weeks quarantine in Italy, but an exemption has been granted for the elite athletes. And as a result, he's made the decision to play in qualifying next week. All the places in the main draw had been taken. He'd already signed up to play in Biella the week after. So the plan is to play back-to-back tournaments in Biella and see where he is. He's desperate for matches, but real irony, Steve, in that he's playing in the Challenger Tour for the first time in about 18 months and the second time in 15 years. He'll be playing as the Australian Open gets underway. The last time he played in Mallorca in August 2019, the US Open was getting underway. And once again, he was missing out. That time because of injury, this time because of COVID. And on both occasions, he needs matches desperately to get his career back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to know that we will see him back on court, though. Thank you very much, Russell. That's our correspondent, Russell Fuller. Commentary every day from Melbourne. Tennis breakfast, 5 Live Sports Extra from 7 a.m. every morning from Monday morning. The latest episode of the EuroLeague's podcast on the Football Daily is out right now, and it features a special interview this week with the Stuttgart CEO Thomas Hitzelsperger. It's LGBT History Month, and we're celebrating the achievements of great athletes and sports people throughout. Thomas is someone who falls firmly into that category. It's 7 years now since he came out. It was just 6 months after he retired from playing. And I asked him if he thinks progress has been made since then in the way homosexuality is viewed within football.
I think we've made progress. Personally, it's been a fantastic journey the last 7 years because just the fact that I'm the CEO of one of the biggest clubs in Germany is a big sign for it. You know, that I think would have not been possible 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. And so on a personal note, I think there's been a lot of progress. Often people say the biggest progress would be a current player coming out as gay. That hasn't happened, but all the people I've met within the football world, mainly fans, fan groups, there's so much happening. They try to encourage, the professional football players to have that basis of coming out and not having to fear the fans' reactions. And I think we are in a different world now, that it's much more welcoming. But I do still understand that there is the anxiety. But I keep on telling people that my life has changed 7 years ago when I went public, and it's changed for the better.
That's Thomas Hitzelsberger. You can hear much more from him. It's a long interview, and he is with us on the EuroLeagues on the Football Daily podcast. Good evening. If you've just joined us, this is 5 Live Sport. It is Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We're with you right through until 10:30 when Colin Murray will take over for the coronavirus call-in. Time for second half commentary then with Clinton Morrison and John Murray.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, welcome back to the Tottenham Stadium, where Chelsea are leading by 1-0, the Jorginho penalty. And Clinton Morrison's alongside me here, and we wondered whether Tottenham would make a change. We wondered how many changes they might make. Jose Mourinho said no, same team, off you go.
Yeah,
improve.
Basically, improve. You've got us in that situation, get us out of it. He'd probably give them 10 or 15 minutes, John, and then make changes. I am surprised he hasn't made any changes, or maybe any tactical changes. We'll see when the second half starts, because they did get overrun in that first half.
So out come the Chelsea players as well, and the stadium here play the soundtrack of the Tottenham fans. Come on, you Spurs. They certainly need to do something. Tottenham with Lloris in goal, the captain, Aurier, Dyer, Alderweireld and Davis, Sissoko, Højbjerg and Ndombele, Bergwijn, Son and Carlos Vinicius, and Chelsea with Mendy, Azpilicueta, Rudiger and Christensen, the substitute who came on for Thiago Silva, and it is Christensen who is playing as the middleman of the three. James on the right, Alonso on the left, Jorginho and Kovacic, and then Mount playing in a central role, sort of roving central role behind Hudson-Odoi, who's on the right, and Werner. And Chelsea 1-0 up. Second half begins, and Tottenham in the white shirts with the blue trim, the dark blue shorts and the white socks. They're defending the end to our left, and Chelsea all blue tonight with the white trim. So a throw-in to Tottenham on the halfway line that Serge Aurier is going to take, just a couple of yards away from Thomas Tuchel, who is just zipping that duck egg blue anorak right up under his chin. Ball back on the edge of the area with Christensen, who plays it back to Mendy, who turns the ball to the right, and it's given back by Azpilicueta to Edouard Mendy, all in bright green, clears right-footed. Christensen heads it away. Bergwijn trying to find a way through. Azpilicueta stepped in. Bergwijn got there first. Now Davis, back to Bergwijn again. Ndombele makes a run. The pass goes out towards the left-hand side. Son dummies to cross it, but keeps it and then plays it forward. Bounces off Jorginho. Then the cross from Davis. Not bad. Alonso at the back post rather clumsily sweeps it behind for a corner. Tottenham's first. So that's a step forward for Spurs.
It is. It was good play. There was only Vinicius in the box. You would probably want more players in the box, but it's a good ball in from Ben Davis, and Alonso had to deal with it at the back post.
So a corner that will be taken for Tottenham by Son, who's just walked over there and got the ball from underneath the advertising hoardings, places it in the quadrant, and Son now with a corner for Spurs. Rain continuing to fall. Son raises his left arm. Here it is to the near post, and it's headed away well, actually, for Chelsea by Alonso. Comes back to Son here on the right-hand side. A Spurs play from left to right. Back to Sissoko with his two white wristbands on. Chips the ball into the penalty area, and Reece James at the back post chests it down very calmly, under no particular pressure, back to his goalkeeper, Edouard Mendy. So Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1 here on BBC Radio 5 Live. And Chelsea playing the ball out from the back, through the middle. And Kovacic up towards Mount, but Mount waited for it, and Sissoko is able to get in there strongly and win the ball back, but he's played it behind, and Ndombele did well to keep it in on the far side. He actually slid off the field, keeping the ball in play. Spurs still have it though. Sissoko looks for Davis, but Davis overruns it, and Chelsea have got it back again. Spotted any change, any improvement for Spurs yet? Although, just bear with us here, because Mendy plays it out, and free kick given for a challenge on Jorginho on the edge of his own box, and slightly sloppy by Chelsea, but they've got away with it.
They have, but one thing looks like Tottenham have pressed on a bit more. You can see they're further forward in advanced positions, and it looks, I don't know if Ndombele's gone and played out on that left, but look, if you can see where they're set up, he might go back into the middle, but when they're trying to press from goal kicks, they are really high, and look, they are pressing together, but Chelsea have played out again because they're playing with so much confidence.
Yeah, they are, but Kovacic slips in the wet conditions and passes it straight to Davis, so here is, and Ndombele, as Clinton Morrison says, seems to have taken up a position more over towards the left hand side, which makes you wonder whether he's actually best suited for that. Both Moura and Lamela are on the substitutes bench. I suspect we might see one or other of them, perhaps Gareth Bale even. Here's Bergwijn infield towards Ndombele, who's being challenged by Hudson-Odoi, lost his footing. Tottenham with Son now out on the left hand side, plays it in, but Kovacic is able to win the ball on the edge of his own penalty area and is fouled, and it's a free kick to Chelsea.
Yeah,
it's still 1-0.
Yeah, it's good play. It's good play from Tottenham. They're on the front foot. You can see they're trying to get the ball into Ndombele because they're thinking he can do something. He needs to get up though. He's rolling around, John. They don't need him to be rolling around unless he's got a serious injury. He needs to get on with it. They're losing the game, but they're trying to get him in the ball to make things happen. So you can see, look, John, when they don't have the ball, they're just keeping the four in that line, and they're trying to press Chelsea.
Yep. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. This is 7th against 8th in the Premier League, and they are level on points. The record is very similar. The two of them have separated only on goal difference, although Chelsea have played one match more. Ball up towards Mount, who is fouled, and that's going to be the first yellow card of the match. And caught by Alderweireld just inside the Tottenham half. Yeah,
it gets too tight. It's a good turn from Mason Mount, and Alderweireld gets too tight and just sticks a leg out, and it is a yellow card.
Yep, he did take him out. He sensed the danger. He was looking to spin him on the halfway line. Mount's okay. Yellow card for Alderweireld. Free kick to Chelsea, to the right of the centre circle. Steady rain. It's falling straight down out of the heavens above the capital. And here's Christensen. Back to Jorginho, points a finger forward, passes the ball to Azpilicueta. Azpilicueta's pass lands on the head of Eric Dyer, who nodded it away. James tried to see it out. Tottenham kept it in. Son fired it forward, but Mendy's out of his penalty area quickly to wallop it back where it came from, and it bounces out of play for a throw-in to Tottenham inside their own half. 5 minutes played in the second half, and still Mendy has not had a save to make. Throw-in for Spurs over there on the far side. There was a time during this lockdown, or one of the lockdowns, when the teams were coming out from different sides of the stadium.
Yeah,
but
that one there, when the NFL that's what I think they changed, the NFL change over there.
Yeah, but that's all blocked off now. There's a big black covering over that entrance, and they're both using the dressing rooms on this side of the ground. Here's Kovacic, who's got 2 Tottenham players either side of him. Chelsea are just keeping Tottenham at arm's length at the moment. Mendy passing it forward to Jorginho, and now Kovacic, and then Christensen, who's not had a great deal of football by any means this season. This is only his 9th appearance, Andreas Christensen. Here's Rudiger, who of course himself was rather out of favour early on this season. Rudiger then turns and gives it back to goalkeeper Mendy. Mendy then forward towards Jorginho, and Chelsea are just knocking it around inside their own half. But that's better from Davis, who's in on James, wins the ball, but also caught a bit of James. Referee Mariner says, free kick Chelsea.
But you see what they've done, though? They stepped on. So Jose said you need to be higher up the pitch. They were too deep. And to be fair, yeah, he does get a bit of the ball, but he gets James as well. So Mariner makes the right decision. But they've just stepped on 5 or 10 yards, John. And they got better starting positions. Now they are pressing Chelsea and making a game of it.
Yeah. 1-0 to Chelsea. Alonso now. Marcus Alonso carrying the ball towards the halfway line. Werner is actually forced back into his own half and then passes it back to Rudiger. In the second half, we're seeing a lot of football being played between the two penalty areas, which is never absolutely the most exciting. As Mendy was in a little bit of a position there. First touch. Son wasn't far away, but Mendy was able to recover. And Chelsea continued to bring it forward. The Chelsea kits, sure, they changed at half-time, already darkening because of all of the rain. Hudson-Odoi now to the right-hand side to James. Now Mount, back to Hudson-Odoi, just outside the area. A right foot shot, low, dragged across the face of goal and beyond the far post and behind. But Chelsea there, seen Tottenham with the ball inside the opponent's half, not really do anything, and then Chelsea come forward. It's quick, slick, sharp.
Good play from Chelsea. Tuchel was clapping there because they beat Tottenham's press, and that's the quality that they've got on the pitch. They can beat Tottenham's press. You can see there, Alderweireld, look, straight to Song, and it's easy for Chelsea.
Thomas Tuchel standing with one arm on his hip. Jorginho winning the ball back, but illegally against Son, and it's a free kick. Tuchel down there on the edge of the area. Talking this week in advance of this game about some of the managerial traditions when you come and are a manager or a head coach, as they call themselves, many of them in this country, what you do, what you don't do. And he said this sort of the tradition of sharing a glass of wine or whatever with the opposing manager. Thomas Tuchel said he's more of a G&T man. Fancy that. There's Ndombele has it inside his own half, back towards Dyer. And then Alderweireld working it forward towards Ndombele. And then Sissoko comes across. Tottenham can't get out of their own half. They look already extremely well drilled, Chelsea, under their new manager. And Ndombele to the left-hand side. Tottenham are making little impression on them. Jose Mourinho, his coat, the shoulders of it glistening in the rain, talking to his assistant, João Sacramento. But they've not come up with any answers yet against this Chelsea side. And we've already played almost 10 minutes of the second half. Aurier passes it forward, bounces off Alonso. Werner, high foot from him, and he caught Alderweireld, bounces out of play. It's given as a free kick. He's okay, Alderweireld, doesn't go down.
You would. He's got the Tottenham subs are warming up, and you're probably looking at the likes, probably Lamela and Lucas Moura. He does like to bring on Lamela, doesn't he?
He does. Yes, talking at half-time, Clinton, it was Lamela, I have to say, I was predicting would be the first player to come on, but we'll see. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. More Premier League football coming on 5 Live in a couple of days' time. Indeed, we've got commentaries on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock, there's a choice for you. Newcastle, Southampton will be on 5 Live. Ian Dennis and Michael Brown with all of the action and the goals up and down the country. And then Burnley-Brighton is at 3 on 5 Live Sports Extra. Kovacic into the penalty area. Kovacic shoots again, but that's blocked inside the area and it bounces down, and Aurier will bring it away. But remember, 5 Live this weekend is the place to listen to Liverpool against Manchester City on Sunday afternoon at 4:30. Here's Azpilicueta in the centre circle. Back to Jorginho. And then Azpilicueta says someone's got a problem, and he's put it out of play, and it's Eric Dyer. He's gone down on his haunches. What happened there?
I don't know what happened there.
Has he had a collision with someone? He's gone down onto his haunches. Whether he's taken a bash.
Well, I can tell you one thing, the physios ain't coming on. They've not even got off, so I just call it
a block. Yeah, a block.
Where, John?
He blocked the ball amidships. And so he's just struggling a little bit. That is very generous that Chelsea have put the ball out of play for that.
On a cold, wet night, you don't want that, do you? It is really generous from Jorginho. I can't ever
remember seeing that happen before.
It's usually like for an injury or a head injury.
Yeah. If it was cricket, everyone would be laughing their heads off. Here's Jorginho. Little ball, here's a bit of space for Chelsea. Kovacic passes too far ahead of Alonso. Aurier was able to slide in. Rudiger back into the centre circle to Christensen. Clinton, there's not an awful lot happening at the moment in this game.
No,
although Rudiger is Mount is turned by Sissoko and caught, and it's a free kick just forward of the centre circle. So this might provide something.
Yep.
So it is a free kick forward of the centre circle. George has just passed me a note, hence the little laugh I had there. As Chelsea take it short. Mount back to Jorginho. Jorginho now to Hudson-Odoi on the right-hand side. Hudson-Odoi then back towards the halfway line. George just reminding me about Eric Dyer being in problems in a match here this season when, if you remember, he had to run off the field and go to the toilet.
He got man of the match. Was it against... I remember he did get man of the match. It was Chelsea, wasn't it? League Cup game, yeah, it was. Yeah. He did get man of the match, yeah.
Yeah, so he's another Chelsea match, and he's ended up in... Anyway, it's 1-0 to Chelsea.
He won't get man of the match today, that's for sure.
No, he won't. Here's Mendy with the ball at his feet. Mendy passing it forward towards Kovacic. The two number 17s together, and Kovacic turns away from Sissoko, and he gives it to Mount, who's got some space, and he's off now from the centre circle to the edge of the area. Werner with a chance, but Aurier was in. Aurier slid in, and just as Werner was about to shoot goalwards, 6 yards out, Aurier slid in and lifted it somehow over the top of his own crossbar.
It's great play again from Chelsea. They beat Tottenham's press, plays it to Werner, and Werner, you think he's going to score, but it's great defending from Serge Aurier. He just does enough. And looking at it, it should have been a goal kick, I think, but you got to credit Serge Aurier. He does ever so well to get back in, but it's looking ominous for Tottenham at this precise moment because Chelsea are beating their press.
I think Aurier and Werner just both got there at more or less the same moment. And Werner might have been lifting it over anyway. Difficult to tell. Anyway, it whizzed over the top of the crossbar to corner to Chelsea. That was a chance for Werner, though. You know, he's such a dry spell that he's on at the moment in terms of goals. Corner taken short by Chelsea. And then the cross from Mount is blocked out of play by Alderweireld. So second consecutive Chelsea corner from way over there on the far side of the stadium. Just as I say that, all of those changing advertising hoardings become bright pink, and Mount has gone and picked the yellow ball up from in front of them and places it on the quadrant. So Rudiger and Azpilicueta and Christensen, the three central defenders, all around the penalty spot. Lots of movement. Here it is, takes a flick off ahead. Azpilicueta, Rudiger with a shot, that's blocked. Sliding defender. It was Eric Dyer who threw himself in front of it, and Rudiger actually was in an offside position. The flag has gone up, and it's a free kick to Tottenham, so even if Chelsea had put it in the net, it would have been ruled out. 1-0 Chelsea lead.
Yeah, and it's all Chelsea at the moment. If I'm Josie, I'm not leaving it any longer, John. I'm making like a triple substitution. I'm trying to put some impetus back into this game. Tottenham did start the second half well, but they didn't. Only thing they did is they pressed well high enough. But Chelsea are still looking like the most likely team to score at this present moment.
Well, subs are down there. Gareth Bale's there. Lamela is closest to the halfway line at the moment. Jose Mourinho. We're into the last half hour now. You know, we thought maybe he'd give them 10 minutes, but they've had quarter of an hour and more now in the second half and are still making little impression, but they're still in the game, only 1-0 down. Chelsea haven't been able to force home the considerable advantage that they've got. Alonso slices the ball out of play, and it's a throw into Tottenham halfway inside their own half. It is quite a mild night, but it's a very wet night now, and still no signal. João Sacramento is hovering around behind Mourinho. It's almost as if he's just waiting for the signal to call at least one of the substitutes. They're in discussions. That signal's going to come in a moment, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. In the next 2 or 3 minutes, it has to come. They're just deciding which players come off and what probably shape they go to.
There are 4 substitutes down there, but one of them is wrapped up so well, I'm not sure even his nearest and dearest would recognise who he was. Is that Lucas Moura? Could be, couldn't it? No, the one closest to the corner flag.
That's Tanganga. That is Tanganga. Right, yeah. It's a defender.
That's a great spot, considering we cannot see anything of him.
I saw him about 2 minutes ago running this way, and he showed his face on the little screen we've got.
All right.
So I won't take all the credit. I'll just say I was looking at my monitor.
1-0 Chelsea lead. FA Cup next week as well, by the way, and both Tottenham and Chelsea's matches are 5 Live commentaries. Tottenham have got quite a challenge at Everton on Wednesday night, and then Chelsea go to Barnsley on Thursday, so that will be an interesting experience for Thomas Tuchel, although Chelsea have already beaten Barnsley 6-0 in the Carabao Cup this season. Foul by Højbjerg on Jorginho, and a yellow card for Højbjerg for that.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Mistimed.
Tottenham are trying, John, but Chelsea's quality is brilliant. They're just beating the press every time, and people might be saying, "Oh, keep going on about it," but it's just good to watch. Tottenham are trying to get there, and they're trying to close down, intensify their closing down. But I think Chelsea have been brilliant at passing through it. There you go again.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they do. The ball flicked forward by Jorginho to Kovacic. Kovacic, now Alonso arrives on the left-hand side. Werner points where he wants it. Instead, it goes infield towards Mount. Mount just outside the area, turns it into the box. 2 Tottenham players go for it. Dyer plays it actually off Alderweireld. Half cleared. Aurier gets it away, but Chelsea have got it back. And Alonso wins a throw-in. I think we're going to see a Tottenham change. There is movement down there. Throw-in taken quickly. Werner swings it across the 6-yard box. No one could get a touch. It reaches James on the right-hand side. James now up against Davis. James, right foot shot from Alonso, edge of the area on the volley, but over by a yard or so.
It would have to be some goal, to be fair, but yeah, it's one win back to the other. James has been brilliant all evening. Good ball into the box, and Alonso's running at pace, but it's a difficult skill to control it with his right foot.
On his right foot, and actually after all that talk about a Tottenham change, the next change is another Chelsea change, and it's Hudson-Odoi who has actually been quiet in the second half. He's walking very slowly off, and he's going to be replaced by Christian Pulisic, who has now come on as a substitute in all 3 of Thomas Tuchel's matches in charge so far.
Yeah, him and Ziyech on the bench it's not strange, but I'm just saying there's some big players sitting on that Chelsea bench at this precise moment.
I thought Ziyech would play, having been rested at the weekend. I just assumed that he would come back in, but no sign of him yet. So Pulisic is on. Of course, Tuchel knows all about him from Borussia Dortmund in their time together there, so less of a mystery. And Pulisic has taken up the Hudson-Odoi position, that right-sided forward position. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. Tottenham goal kick, Chelsea win it back, and Jose Mourinho steps forward, claps his hands. Still, it's the same 11 that started the match for Tottenham that are out there on the field. Here's Eric Dyer, who conceded the penalty in the first half. Oh. And Dyer hits a pass back to Lloris, who can only head it away, and Mount couldn't latch onto it. Mount, though, has it. Very heavy pass from Dyer back to Lloris. He had to head it away, and he was stretching for that. Here's Werner in the box on the right-hand side. Werner's ball across, cleared away by Alderweireld, and then Tottenham should get it away this time, although they haven't cleared it yet. Still haven't cleared it. And Ndombele gives it away to Jorginho. That is very careless from Tottenham.
It is very careless. That whole play was careless there. I think Hugo Lloris done well. The back pass from Dyer looked like it was going to go over his head.
Chelsea with Kovacic. Kovacic away from Højbjerg. Ball into Werner, right side of the penalty area. The touch took it wide. He gives it to James. Now Mount, right side of the box. Into Kovacic. Lloris does well. Dives forward for it. Gets a touch on it. Kovacic was stretching for it, but the Tottenham goalkeeper got such an important touch there. And then, Jorginho overhits the ball through inside right, and it's straight through for a goal kick.
I can't believe what I'm watching there. Chelsea they are being excellent, but Tottenham are making it really easy for them, John. It's like they want to give them the second goal. And as you said, their change is coming, and it is Lamela. He's always that first substitution, isn't it? But they're hanging on by a thread here, Tottenham, and they look out on their feet. That's what they look like, John. You look at the Tottenham players, they look out on their feet, and these Chelsea players look full of confidence.
Yeah, they do. So the Tottenham change will be made in a moment. So just going to have to get up and have a look.
Lucas Moura as well.
Lucas Moura and Lamela. So they're both coming on. No Gareth Bale yet. So, just over a quarter of the match left. And Chelsea have made no impression. Tottenham have made no impression on Chelsea in the second half.
No, they haven't. We said that 5 minutes they stepped onto them and stopped them playing out, but
so why wait this long?
You tell me. I don't know. Has he not got confidence in some of these players that he's got on the bench then? Because that's what it seems like to me. Why wait so long?
Coming forward, still only 1-0 down Tottenham, and here's Bergwijn into the penalty area. Bergwijn's ball across, but a rapidly adjusting, Christensen was able to turn, even in these greasy, wet conditions, keep his feet and control and clear the ball away. So who's coming off then? Presumably Bergwijn.
Yeah, but I'd keep him on because he looks quite lively. But it'd be Vinicius for sure. He'll be one. But you're probably right. It will be Bergwijn or Sissoko I'm going to go for, because then he can always drop Ndombele back into the row. But you never know. It just depends how brave he wants to be, John. But it's definitely going to be Vinicius, and you could be right on Bergwijn or Sissoko, or we both could be wrong.
Well, for Jose Mourinho, that would almost be reckless.
Exactly.
To make a change like that. Here's Jorginho, square to Kovacic. It's opened up for Kovacic, and he's running away to the edge of the area, and he's still going, and then he shoots wide. A stumbling shot as two players converged either side of him. And what an opening that was, not taken by Kovacic.
You're right, John, Bergwijn, but it's a great opportunity. They might rue these chances, you know, because it just opened up for Kovacic. Tottenham's midfield is nowhere to be seen at the moment. Big gaps, and I'm surprised he's taking on Ndombele, so taking him off, I'm very surprised at that, because I thought it would be Vinicius, because he's not really had no effect on the game. Neither has Ndombele, but he's always got that bit of magic in him that can go and open up a game. So very strange from Jose Mourinho there.
Right, so how are they going to work this? So Lamela, Moura, Son and Vinicius are now on the field for Tottenham.
So Lamela will play to the right and Moura will play like close to Vinicius, like in that kind of number 10 role, but I don't think he's as effective there as Ndombele. No chance.
5 Live Sport, we're on air till 10:30 tonight. Stephen Kelly, former Tottenham defender, will be joining us actually post-match until 10:30. So there'll be lots of Tottenham questions with a scoreline like this that he will have to come up with the answers for. And then from 10:30 tonight, by the way, one of our coronavirus call-ins, Colin Murray is with Dr. Chris Smith, and they'll be taking your phone calls from 10:30, so you can get in touch 85058. Get in touch 5 Live on social media to book your call with Colin and Dr. Chris Smith after 10:30 tonight. But 20 minutes to go, and Chelsea still lead by 1-0. The penalty, the first half penalty that was scored by Jorginho after Eric Dyer caught Werner inside the Tottenham penalty area. And Tottenham have still to have an attempt on target. And Spurs, former leaders, indeed both of these teams are 2 of the 9 teams that have been top of the Premier League at one stage or another this season. Clearly it is at the moment, and these two are 14 points behind them. Chelsea, if they hang on to this, will move above Tottenham in the league table. Werner is caught by Lamela. No, Lamela got the ball, says referee Mariner, and here is Lamela on the right-hand side. Lamela weaving infield past Kovacic, still going. He's past Jorginho now, and then scoops the ball into the area. It bounces down, but James was there ahead of Son and was able to volley it away to Davis. And then the ball worked back to Alderweireld, who just got there ahead of Werner. Now Aurier on the right-hand side. Aurier, square left-footed ball to Lamela. Mount in with the challenge, and Chelsea are able to bring it away with the yellow-booted Pulisic. Pulisic running from inside his own half, still going. And then a ball to the left that doesn't reach Werner, because Alderweireld was in the right place. Pulisic is claiming that he was fouled there. Referees having none of that. Lucas Moura, then to Son. Son now, little ball to the left-hand side to Davis. Tottenham's performance has been raised. It's early days yet since the 2 substitutes came on, but this is more promising, Clinton.
Yeah, it is promising, but you can always see Chelsea on this counter-attack. It's set up for Chelsea to sit back now and just play on the counter-attack with the pace they've got in Pulisic, Mount and Timo Werner. But it is more promising for Tottenham. You always expect that when you make a couple of changes, though, John.
Yep, here's Son near the corner flag. Rudiger comes across, the ball bounces out of play. It's Tottenham's ball, and Son is just going to place the ball on the quadrant and take a short one, quick one to Lamela, and Lamela's left-footed ball in is headed away on the edge of the 6-yard box by Christensen. If you weren't listening in the first half, Christensen came on as a substitute for Thiago Silva, who seemed to pull something in his thigh, and so is off the field as Son goes down very easily. Pulisic with the challenge from behind. It's a free kick to Tottenham on the right-hand side here. Not sure there was a great deal in that.
It's a clever free kick. Son just puts his body in and waits for the little contact and then goes down.
Minimal contact.
Yeah, very minimal.
Free kick though. Kante is being prepared by Chelsea. Lamela curls in the free kick to the edge of the area. That's headed down on the edge of the box, and it's headed down to a Chelsea man in Kovacic, but it's won back by Son, but Kovacic has been fouled by Lamela, and that's a free kick to Chelsea in front of their own box.
Didn't have to do that, Lamela. He just kind of dived in. I like his enthusiasm. He always shows enthusiasm, but be more sensible there. Look, he's going to win that from Kovacic anyway, but he dives in, and it's an easy decision for Mariner.
Premier League striker Clinton Morrison with us on BBC Radio 5 Live. So it's Thomas Tuchel's third match then, Clinton. You know, they've started off with a 0-0 against Wolves. They had the 2-0 against Burnley. They're winning 1-0 against Tottenham. And he's about to make that change. Kovacic is being replaced by N'Golo Kante, who has missed the last 6 matches. He was back as an unused sub at the weekend, and now he is replacing Kovacic, who had a really good chance, didn't he, Kovacic, after an excellent run to make it 2-0.
Yeah, he did. He had a really good chance. He does like Jorginho, it seems like, because I know because they're winning the game, Jorginho's right to stay in there, but if I'm picking Chelsea's best 11, it's Kante and Kovacic probably in there instead of Jorginho for me.
1-0 Chelsea lead, so it's a narrow lead. And Alonso playing it forward, left-footed into the centre circle, and then it's headed forward. And Vinicius is after it. He's barely been involved, Vinicius, in the second half on his first Premier League start. And then Alonso is being fouled by Aurier, and it's a free kick to Chelsea. Just not being able to get into the game, Vinicius.
No, he struggled. And even when there has been balls up to him, he hasn't held it up. And he's a big lad, John. He should be doing better.
Yeah, Werner now on the left-hand side for Chelsea. Into the penalty area. Shoots, it's deflected, comes out on the left-hand side to James, he shoots, punches back into his own face, then Pulisic shoots on the turn, that's blocked, and the offside flag goes up on the far side. Almost comical the way that Reece James there hit a snap shot that hit a Tottenham defender and bounced and hit him in the face.
But you know what? The offside was from when the ball was played over the top to Timo Werner. Why wait so long? Someone's going to get seriously injured one day, John, when the way they do that.
You know the answer, though.
Yep.
It's because that's what they're told to do. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. 15 minutes to go. It's not been the most sparkling of contests by any means, and Tottenham supporters, there'll be texts, there'll be messages, all sorts, social media, talking about Tottenham's approach under Jose Mourinho, as Lamela plays it forward. Chelsea very tight, and actually that challenge was a good one by Mount to win it back from Højbjerg, and now Werner to Mount into the penalty area, a left foot shot, and Lloris goes down and gets a good hand to it, diving down to his left, pushed it across the 6-yard box, and Tottenham clear.
That's a very good save. Good play again from Chelsea. Werner round the corner to Mount, he's one-on-one, he does a little step over, and it's a good save from Hugo Lloris. A nice strong hand, but I can't see no way back in this game for Tottenham at the moment, John. It's all Chelsea, and they've been the better team, and will thoroughly deserve to go and get the 3 points if they do take it.
Look at it another way, if they do get something out of this, they will be fortunate.
Very fortunate. And Tuchel will not be happy.
He will not. No. He won't be laughing tonight if that's the case. Here's Aurier on the right-hand side. Chelsea with this slender lead, 1-0. And Tottenham, even though they lost Thiago Silva relatively early in the game, Chelsea, Tottenham just getting no change out of Chelsea at all as they go forward, and they are going forward now. The ball is pulled across to the edge of the box, but Kante is there now for Chelsea, and he arrives on the edge of the box to clear it away out towards the far side, and Tottenham have to start again from inside their own half. And then that's a poor touch by Eric Dyer, and the ball just runs away from his right foot and out of play for a throw into Chelsea, and that is a cheap throw in conceded. Chelsea will take that all day long. Jorginho gets it back after the throw. Pulisic back to Kante now. And now Jorginho again, scorer of the only goal from the penalty spot. It's been that sort of game, actually. Although Chelsea have created chances in the second half. Lloris has made a couple of important saves. It was a good save from Kovacic, actually. And a decent save there from Mason Mount, the most recent of them. Ball's back with Mendy at the other end, and Oh, the flag's up. The assistant's flag up. Is the ball out of play over here?
I think there's a foul by Lamela on Rudiger.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's a free kick to Tottenham, to Chelsea, just inside their own half. 1-0 Chelsea lead. Yeah, the FA Cup next weekend, the fifth round, the midweek fifth round of the FA Cup. We'll have that covered right across the BBC as Rudiger overhits this ball downfield and it bounces through to Lloris at the other end.
You know, like, I know against Brighton he didn't have a good game, but you've got 13 minutes to go. Why not bring on Gareth Bale, John? Like, the only way he's going to get some sort of form is, and some bit of confidence back, is keep bringing him on. You're losing. I can understand if you're winning you don't want to bring him on. You're losing, you need a goal. If you get a free kick 20 yards out, 25 yards out, there's more likely him putting it in the top corner.
Yeah, and I can just sense Tottenham fans the world over asking the same question.
We know he's not reproducing his form, but now you need a goal. You haven't got your talisman in Harry Kane. I look at the bench and I'm thinking, just bring Gareth Bale on. What have you got to lose?
It's been a really flat performance from Tottenham tonight, and Bale is still down there warming up. Jose Mourinho can make one more change. Thomas Tuchel has made all three of his. As Tottenham with Højbjerg, he was caught late there, but he managed to pass the ball forward first of all to Son, and now Lamela on his left foot, 25 yards out, a curling shot, but Mendy's able to go down to his right, got two hands to it and was able to push it wide, and it's out of play for a throw into Tottenham down the left. The yellow card is shown to Pulisic for his challenge on Højbjerg in the build-up to that move, and that is the first time that Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea have faced a shot on target against them, almost at the end of his third match. Decent save, Mendy. Tottenham come forward again, headed away by Alonso, headed further away by Werner. Tottenham might even be building a little bit of pressure here.
Yeah, it was good play from Lamela. Like, he comes on and he gives you, he livens it up. Sometimes some people say he has too many touches, but it was good play and a good strike, good save from Mendy, a comfortable save. But that's what Tottenham need, and they've needed the whole game. They need a little spark, and they haven't had it so far this evening.
Jose Mourinho continues to stand with his hands in his pockets. With this scoreline, could be something he's never experienced as a manager before here tonight. Sissoko playing it across, but that's cleared away by Azpilicueta in the middle, left-footed, out of play for a throw down the right-hand side. Mourinho facing the possibility of losing two successive home league matches as a manager for the first time, which, I don't know about you, Clinton, I think that shows what a great manager he's been, that's not happened to him before, and he's 58 now. He has Lamela on the right-hand side. Lamela into the box, but his attempted cross was blocked. Chelsea with a packed penalty area. Tottenham with some pressure, some concerted pressure for the first time in this match, and they've won the ball back as well. And here's Sissoko. He looks up. Now to the cross from Aurier, which is too close to Mendy, who is able just to hop at his near post and catch it.
Yeah, it's poor from Serge Aurier. He's got to do better than that. He's got bodies in the box, and it's a comfortable right into Mendy's arms. But they are putting a bit of pressure on at the moment. Tuchel will be worried because he knows Chelsea need another goal to kill off this game, John.
1-0 Chelsea lead. And we're into the last 10 minutes. Kante holds off Moura illegally, using his arm. Free kick. Moura went down. Yellow card, Kante. And that's the first one for Chelsea. He just sort of catch him. Yeah. Actually, no, the ball had gone and he sort of kicked out at fresh air and caught Moura. So N'Golo Kante booked. Free kick to Tottenham. Son is going to take this, right-footed, forward of the centre circle. He flights it into the box. Dyer gets his head to it for Tottenham. Jorginho heads it back out of the penalty area for Chelsea, and it's cleared away downfield, and Tottenham have to start again. Halfway inside their own half. Højbjerg drills a pass with the top of his right boot. Aurier, though, bounced off him. Alonso's got it back. Alonso dances infield and gives it to Mason Mount, and there could be some spaces here for Chelsea with Tottenham having committed men downfield, but the build-up is too slow from Chelsea. Tottenham are back in position. Werner, though, crosses left-footed towards the back post. Davis chests it down and is able to take it down and pass it forward, but he gives it to Azpilicueta. And now Christensen turns, and then Rudiger in the centre circle. Rudiger curls the pass to the right-hand side, and Chelsea come forward again. with their captain, scorer at the weekend against Burnley, Azpilicueta, and then Reece James does well, keeps possession on the right-hand side. Mason Mount, Azpilicueta, Chelsea. This is good possession from them after a spell of better play from Tottenham. Chelsea have regained their authority here and indeed win a free kick, which was well played by Mason Mount. By Pulisic, just drew the challenge which came in on him, and Chelsea have a free kick 30 yards out, between 25 and 30 yards out, and they'll be in no hurry at all, leading by 1-0 with only 6 or 7 minutes to play. Who's going to take this? Mount. James has come across as well. Tottenham have a two-man wall, but they're actually standing in front of the ball at the moment. Lloris is lining this up. We've said since the 24th minute when Chelsea took the lead that if they score a second goal, that will be it. If they get one here from this set piece,
that will 100% be it. Yeah.
Absolutely, definitely, without any question, be it.
Without a shadow of doubt, be it.
Mount is going to take this, curls it in, behind Rudiger, and it was headed away for Tottenham. Kante to Alonso. Alonso manages to wriggle away from Vinicius, and then Alonso gives it to Werner, who's still in the Tottenham right back area, and Werner will then play it back more centrally to Rudiger. Azpilicueta out to the right hand side, it goes to James, and now Pulisic just outside the area. The challenge comes in on him, and the ball loops up in the air off Sissoko, caught by Lloris, who quickly overarms it out, rather as they'll be doing in Chennai in the morning. I'm not sure that Hugo Lloris will be getting up first thing in the morning to follow that, but life's full of surprises.
What time's that start, John?
Very early.
4 in the morning, something like that?
I think it might even be earlier than that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You'll hear all about it on breakfast in the morning, and indeed the Cricket Social is back on tomorrow on the BBC Sport website and app, so all of the TMS Test Match Special Voices will be taking part in that on the website and app. Joe Root's 100th Test match. Long ball downfield that is headed back by Christensen to goalkeeper Mendy, who has the ball at his feet. So just over 5 minutes to go, and now the question is, and listen, it's not been rip-roaring, Clinton, by any means, has it? Because of the way that the game's been played. But 1-0 into the last 5 minutes, we might yet have a grandstand finish.
We could do.
Don't go anywhere, folks. As Pulisic puts in the challenge on the far side. Pulisic again. Ball bounces centrally. Lucas Moura gets there first, lifts it to the right-hand side to Aurier. Tottenham do have people in the box now. Moura, shaven-headed with his black gloves on. Lucas Moura plays it across, a stretch by Højbjerg. Højbjerg just outside the area, square from him to Lamela. Lamela, who's had Tottenham's only attempt on target in the match since he came on as a substitute. Lucas Moura again, turns one way, then the other, and then shoots right-footed, but it sails away over the top of the bar. He beat Jorginho nicely, but couldn't get the shot on target.
Yeah, good opportunity. He done well, Lucas Moura. Why not have a shot? Sergio Aurier wanted the ball. That was probably the better pass, but he was in a position where he's thinking he wants to test Mendy, but it's over the bar.
Jose Mourinho still has one change he can make, and still Gareth Bale is down there with 2 of the other Tottenham substitutes. And that corner,
I think Bale's gone sat back in, John. I saw him go back in 5 minutes ago. I think that's Harry Winks, and I can't think who it is.
You're right. It is Harry Winks.
Might be Rodon with him and Sanchez.
Yeah, so we're not going to see Gareth Bale, it would seem. 1-0 Chelsea lead. Here is Alonso. It's only his 5th appearance of the season, Marcus Alonso, but Thomas Tuchel clearly came in with the intention of using Marcus Alonso with 3 central defenders, so he's back in favour, and he's done well. Back to Mendy plays it out to Reece James, who's going to struggle to keep that in, so it's a throw in to Tottenham, 15 yards inside Chelsea territory, 3.5 minutes plus added time to go. Tottenham need to raise themselves, come up with something. Lamela to Aurier. Tottenham are coming forward. Chelsea get men back into their own penalty area. Son makes a run. Son right side of the box. Son with his left foot gives it back to Aurier, and now infield to Sissoko, back to Aurier. Aurier with the cross. That's better, and it's headed wide. Vinicius on the edge of the 6-yard box. He got up well, he got his head to it, but he couldn't direct it on target.
He has to score. As a centre forward, you're waiting for that opportunity all evening. It's a great ball from Serge Aurier, and he's in there, he's up, and he's got to score. I was waiting for the net to just ripple there. It's a great ball in from Aurier, and he's there. He has to be scoring. He's let it hit him, John. Instead of directing it, he's let it hit him, and it's gone wide. Great opportunity. I knew they'd get one big opportunity in this half, and that is it, and that could be the game now. Great opportunity.
That may well be it. 2.5 minutes to go. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. 5 Live Sport from the BBC. Son through the middle. Oh, he's been upended, and that's a free kick to Tottenham. And now this is a good position. This is 25 yards out.
This is where I would just make a sub and bring on Gareth Bale, John. I'd just bring on Gareth Bale. And in these positions, you know what Gareth Bale's like. It's a good position for Tottenham. I'm not sure who they've got in this position who could take a free kick from it. Maybe Eric Dyer. But it's a bit too far out maybe for Eric Dyer.
A little bit of pushing and shoving there. I think Alderweireld might have said something to, or was it Vinicius, might have said something to Rudiger, and the two of them just had a little set to. It's all calmed down though. Free kick though, right of centre. It'll be best part of 25 yards out, something like that. Sissoko is there, Lamela is there, and Eric Dyer as well. 3-man Chelsea wall will be positioned in the D. Doesn't look like that. Is that 10 yards? He must have measured that. It looks short, doesn't it? So it looks as though it's going to be Eric Dyer to take this.
Yeah, it will be Eric Dyer.
So Dyer, 3, 4, 5 steps back. Free kick. Chelsea lead 1-0. Dyer comes up, strikes it, but curls it wide of the wall and wide of the left post as well, as he looked at it by probably a yard and more.
I think Dyer's got his hands on his head, but Mendy was saying that's going well wide. He had it well judged, to be fair. It's a good free kick, to be fair. He gets it up and over, but I think Mendy will be disappointed because that is actually his side and he should be on that side. So the wall done its job there.
Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1. We're in the 90th minute now. We'll be seeing the fourth official, Andy Madley, coming forward very shortly. So obvious to say it, but Tottenham have missed Harry Kane so much tonight. Again, they desperately need him back. Looking at them tonight, you know, he scored 12 out of their 34 goals in the Premier League this season. He's created 11 of the 29 assists that they've had this season, and without him, they've created so little. Here's Son heading it forward. Christensen clears it back downfield. Stephen Kelly's going to be joining us in the last half hour or so of 5 Live Sport tonight, the former Tottenham defender. Oh, Werner, lovely turn, right foot shot. It hits Dyer, who was in the right place at the right time. That was on target from Werner. He struck it well, but Dyer blocked it. 3 minutes for Tottenham to salvage something, and that's what they'd be doing. Moura, the ball bounces away from him and is cleared away by Alonso.
Tottenham start playing with 5 minutes to go, John. 5 minutes to go. Their fans must be screaming at the TVs at home because it's not been good enough for Tottenham.
Son jumps for it with Rudiger. Now Lucas Moura heads it down here to the right-hand side. Lamela looks forward, sees blue shirts, a wall of blue shirts in front of him. Thomas Tuchel, just a couple of minutes away now from making it 3 matches unbeaten to start his tenure as Chelsea's head coach. As Lamela curls it in left-footed towards Vinicius. It was Christensen who got there, and then James stretches and heads it down away from Alderweireld, and James is able to pass it up the line towards Mount, and Mount wins a throw-in for Chelsea over on the far side. Mason Mount, who's played in a central role, played well again for Chelsea tonight. Mason Mount.
He has. He's been in the first half in particular. He was the bright spot alongside Reece James and Hudson-Odoi. Them three, the youngsters, were the bright spark in the team. But in particular, Mason Mount. He's a clever footballer, gets into little positions, and Tottenham couldn't handle him. Maybe a bit quiet in the second half, but he didn't really need to do much because they're winning the game, John.
Tottenham heading to a 3rd consecutive defeat. It'll be the first time this season that they've lost 3 in a row. First time they've lost 3 consecutive Premier League matches since 2012. Jose Mourinho standing in between the coaching area and the side of the pitch. Tottenham coming with Lamela. But we've had 2 minutes of the 3 of added time now. Time running out for Tottenham. Lamela playing it out towards the far side. Chelsea will go above Tottenham in the Premier League table with this scoreline. Alonso heads it away. Headed forward again by Alderweireld. Chelsea are able to clear it away back up towards Werner. Son. The question is whether Tottenham are going to be able to carve out one final chance. Lamela, they've barely deserved it, mind you. Here's Moore into the box. Son, right foot shot, but sends it high over the top of the crossbar from just inside the box.
That's a good chance, and you want it to fall to any man in the Tottenham team is Son, in the form that he has been in previously. It was probably the first good play they've had, and that will be probably the last kick of the game. But you're thinking there, just hit the target, but he's leaning back and it goes over the goal. And that was, as I said, John, they don't really deserve anything because they've only started playing the last 10 minutes.
Come on, Clinton, come up with a few words. How would you describe this Tottenham performance? Jose Mourinho said sad on Sunday.
Really disappointing. Can you do ×2 sad? Because that's what it's been. I think it's been worse than the Brighton performance. I think you're looking for a response. I know Chelsea are a really good team, but Chelsea have been really good, and Tottenham have looked, toothless, really. That's what I'd say, toothless, especially going forward. Not good enough, John.
Tame Tottenham heading to defeat here. Only 1-0, but it could easily have been more. And there is the final whistle. Jose Mourinho points out there onto the field, but turns and clasps hands with Thomas Tuchel, who is now unbeaten in his first 3 matches as Chelsea's head coach. So Thomas Tuchel walks out there onto the field. Chelsea go above Tottenham and Everton into 6. So 2 wins and a draw for Thomas Tuchel. They're 4 points off the Champions League places. But for Jose Mourinho, he walks away for the first time having lost 2 successive home league matches as a manager. Chelsea win it 1-0, but they deserve it, Clinton Morrison.
Yeah, they thoroughly deserve it. They were the better team. They looked the most likely in the first half, and even in the second half, on the counter-attack, they could have made it 2 or 3. So, the best team got the 3 points and got the victory this evening.
Yeah, Jorginho's first half penalty was all they needed, and 1 goal was all they needed against this Tottenham team. Tottenham 0, Chelsea 1.
Clinton Morrison, that was just so predictable from Tottenham, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's been like that for quite a bit. When Harry Kane don't play, they are kind of a predictable team. With him in the team, they're a much different team. Even Son, you can see, I felt disappointed for him today. I'm watching him, he looks like he's cutting a frustrated figure up front. He hasn't got his pal beside him, playing him in, and he was really quiet today. They do miss Harry Kane. I hate to say it, but when he's not in the team, everyone will know he's a big player and a big character. Not only what he does on the pitch, I think in the dressing room they miss him as well. Today weren't good enough for Tottenham. They were nowhere near at the races.
Let's talk about the chance, the big chance that they did have, the Vinicius chance. The way you phrased it in commentary I thought was really interesting. You said he's let the ball hit him. Is that what you do when you're a striker who doesn't have the match sharpness that you need?
No chance. You still got in training. You're still doing all kinds of finishing in training. So, and that is for game related, and the opportunity's there. I know he ain't had a lot of chances in the game. That was the only clear-cut chance he's had. But once Aurier plays the ball into the box, he has to score, because it's not like he's mistimed his jump either. Crossy, he's got up there, but he's just let it hit him instead of and he's not tried to direct it back in either where it comes from or a little flick into the far corner. It's just kind of hit him and gone wide. It's a great opportunity. It's a centre forward who hasn't played enough games and is short of confidence at this moment. But when you get chances like that and you don't play a lot of games, you have to be more clinical.
See, I think that's really interesting, because you know me, Clinton. I see something happen, then I want to analyse it to the nth degree. It's basically that's such a bad miss that you don't necessarily need to go into deeper analysis.
No, he'll know going into the dressing room it's a bad miss. If I've missed from that yards, 3 or 4 yards out, I'll be disappointed in myself. And you can make excuses that the cross was too high. From where I was, it was a perfect height for him to go and attack the ball and score the equaliser. And not like Tottenham deserved it, but that was the chance probably Jose Mourinho was waiting for, because they were still in the game, and they would have probably have come off from a game where they should have lost with a point.
The penalty obviously played a massive role in this result as well. It's not just the way that Spurs failed to react to it, but go back to that decision by Eric Dyer to make that challenge. And I was just watching the replay back again. It's probably about 5 seconds before the foul that you think he's going to foul him here. He was just having go after go after go at him when he was on the floor.
Yeah, I don't get that, because obviously Timo Werner's not in on goal because Alderweireld's coming across and can deal with that. I don't know if Eric Dyer can see that, but yeah, he's hacking, and then Timo Werner just gets his leg inside and he hacks it down. It's like he wanted to, I'm not saying he wanted to give away the penalty, but the way he kept on hacking and hacking at him, you're thinking eventually you're going to give Andy Marin, the referee, a decision to make, and he did, and he made the right decision. It was a silly penalty to give away.
Let's bring in the former Tottenham defender, Stephen Kelly, who's going to be with John, myself and Clinton through till 10:30. Evening, Stephen.
How's it going, guys? Is it okay?
Yeah, all right. That last 5 minutes of chat and that last 90 minutes of football must have been quite difficult to listen to for you.
Me and Clint are pulling our hair, aren't we, watching these boys at the moment? It's just frustrating because, well, Harry Kane not there leading the line. We do look toothless to say. We look at lack of, I suppose, clinical.
I think we might just have lost Stephen's line there, but I think the word clinical is pretty comprehensive, Clinton. Although I also wonder whether or not you should let Tottenham off in that sense, because look at that bench. Like, we'll talk a little bit more about how many subs were made, but just look at the people on that bench. There is talent on that bench.
There is talent, but me and John were saying it. How comes the talent come on so late in the game? We were surprised that the talent didn't come on earlier. And we can say, yeah, Gareth Bale hasn't hit the ground running, but you need a goal. Why are you not going to bring him on? Whether it's for like 7-8 minutes or the 10 minutes that were left, you need a goal. You can still make one substitution going for it. I'm struggling to see how Tottenham are going to get out of this, to be fair, at this moment, because you can see this group of players are playing with no confidence at the moment. And that's down to the manager has to get the best out of this group of players. And at this precise moment, they're not delivering on the pitch.
Meanwhile, Chelsea, 85058 at 5Live Sport. Zach, a win over Spurs is a massive boost in confidence. It could set the tone for a top 4 finish if they can keep this up. They look far better and far more organised. And that's something that we haven't touched on too much, Clinton, is, Spurs not scoring is one thing. Chelsea are not conceding, not at all, under Thomas Tuchel.
No, because the back three is working. They've got a plan. John said it in commentary. That is the way Conte won when he won the Premier League, and it did work for Chelsea. And they've got the players to play with the back three. I think Rudiger and Azpilicueta and Thiago, when he was on the pitch, were really good. Christensen comes in, he does well. They've got Zuma to come in, and then in the wing backs, it's difficult because Ben Chilwell, they paid a lot of money for him, but at the moment I think Lonzo does well at left wing back. He's a better wing back than he is a full back, and that's for Reece James. That's his natural position. But Thingy impressed me today. Mason Mount, really good. When we were talking about earlier on in the show, when he first came in Tuchel, we didn't play him against Wolves. Mason Mount's now putting in performance to say, you can't drop me because I'm one of the best players in this team at the moment.
He was excellent, Stephen, wasn't he?
Oh, wonderful. I love his body position. When he receives the ball, he's always on the half turn. He always has his head in a swivel. Even in tight area, he's willing to turn, run at the defence, and he's always looking for the ball. He never stops moving. He's always in a position to find it. And, to have a midfield player who's that confident at the moment and looks so good going forward, all he was missing today was a goal, but he got himself into some really good areas, and he's a proper thorn in the side for Tottenham because he was going in between Højbjerg and Sissoko, and in the first half, neither of them knew how to pick him up or who was going to come into that line, and it was very difficult for Tottenham to mark him. And I thought he was excellent today.
So we're with you through until 10:30, and hopefully between now and then we'll be able to bring you live reaction from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Stephen Kelly, Clinton Morrison, John Murray will be with us until 10:30. Then Colin Murray will take over with the coronavirus call-in. Evening, Colin.
Evening. This is probably really bad timing, and I do apologise for this, but Clinton, I got that hand cream you wanted, mate.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It smells really good, doesn't it, that one?
No
I
worries.
need it.
I got you a couple of bottles of it, so give it to you next time we'll work.
I won't ask.
All right, mate. No worries. I just thought I'd tell them live to the nation so we could understand just how we roll together. Hand cream's literally as exciting as lockdown gets. Yes, it's the coronavirus call-in from 10 o'clock. And it's, yes, looking forward to it. Dr. Chris will be with us, guys, and we're just going to be letting you lead the way. So much to talk about tonight, so many stories about. Once a week we get together and we just let you, the audience, just drive exactly where we're going. So that's what we're going to be doing on the show. So you can all use it. You're off now, right?
What do you mean, like finished off? No,
Yeah.
till 10:30.
Are you on the 10:30 tonight?
I hope so.
See, this is where we're confused because it's Thursday
We
night.
need to
Are you
negotiate.
sure? Are we on at 10:30? Are we on late tonight?
I thought BBC Sound says so. So who's really in control?
This is crazy.
Colin?
I think this is a first. I think we're on at 10, but you're on the 10:30. I'm not even joking. Should we take the news and then just let's get your guys to talk to my guys?
Yeah.
I'm
Well, it's a good
totally
job we've got a
happy to be-
news bulletin, isn't it? So we can work it out. I mean, do me and you sort this out? Who sorts it out? I don't know.
This has never happened in my 20-odd years in the radio.
All right, well, you will
one
hear.
One of us will be here.
Yeah, it could be Colin. It could be me. All we can tell you is that it's the news.
The voice of the UK. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
BBC News at 10 o'clock. This is Harvey Cook. Government sources have confirmed that from the 15th of this month, the UK will force people returning home from coronavirus hotspots to quarantine in special hotels. Ministers have been under growing pressure to set out details of the scheme. Here's our transport correspondent, Caroline Davis.
Documents seen by the BBC say that guests will need to quarantine for 11 days. All rooms will need to have en-suite facilities, and guests will be served 3 meals a day with tea, coffee, fruit and water in their rooms. Guests will need to take 2 COVID tests during their stay. If they want to go outside, they'll need to be accompanied by security guards. Hotels are expected to need to accommodate up to 1,400 new passengers every day from locations around the UK, which are likely to include Heathrow, Gatwick, Edinburgh and Aberdeen. Labour have said it is beyond comprehension that these measures won't start until the 15th of February.
The number of people who've died within 28 days of testing positive for COVID-19 has fallen to 915. That's 30% lower than yesterday. But case numbers were up by about 1,400 to more than 20,600. The Governor of the Bank of England has said that the success seen in the rollout of the coronavirus vaccine programme indicates the UK is heading towards a sustained economic recovery. But Andrew Bailey warned that the economy would first shrink by 4% in the first 3 months of the year.
We're having the effect of a lockdown in the first quarter of this year, and that is obviously going to create sadly, a more negative outcome in this quarter. But the vaccine programme is obviously excellent news. And we do think that that is going to support a sustained recovery throughout the rest of the year, after really the end of the first quarter, so after the end of March. And that is obviously good news.
President Biden has used his first major speech on foreign policy to promise to repair alliances and confront the authoritarianism of China and Russia. In a wide-ranging address, Mr. Biden warned Vladimir Putin that the US will be taking a very different approach.
I made it clear to President Putin, in a manner very different from my predecessor, that the days of the United States rolling over in the face of Russia's aggressive actions, interfering with our elections, cyber attacks, poisoning its citizens, are over. We will not hesitate to raise the cost on Russia and defend our vital interest and our people.
Detectives investigating the murder of a 54-year-old man in North Belfast have arrested 2 men. Daniel McLean was shot on Tuesday while sitting in a parked car. A 39-year-old and a 46-year-old are being questioned. Donald Trump has resigned from the American Screen Actors Guild after it ordered a disciplinary hearing into his membership following the attack on the US Capitol building. The former president had previously appeared in a number of films, including Home Alone 2. Referring the hearing in a letter, Mr. Trump wrote, "Who cares?" And the weather tonight. Rain, sleet and snow will continue in Scotland, with scattered showers in southern areas. There'll be more persistent rain in northeast England, and mist and hill fog will develop in the southwest. BBC News is 3 minutes past 10.
The FA Cup 5th round.
Now there is hope. Now there is belief.
Manchester United, West Ham United.
Bruno Fernandes scores!
Sheffield United, Bristol City.
Burke here for Sheffield United and Burke goes on to score.
Barnsley, Chelsea.
Abraham follows up and drives in the rebound.
No replays, guaranteed goals, 0 filler.
Simply unbelievable!
Manchester United v West Ham kicks off Tuesday at 7:30 on BBC One and iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sport
with Steve Crossman.
See, Colin, that says 5 Live Sport, so...
Well, so I've just talked to Phil, who's producing us tonight. Yeah, because we've always been on at 10, right, on a Thursday, but the schedule did change to 10:30, but it was that thing of nobody told us. But it's great, you know. Clinton's got his hand cream. We got half an hour more football, and we've still got 2.5 hours to take all your calls on. And it gives us half an hour to build all the calls up, because we always get way too many than we get through. So this is actually great for us. We can focus in and with a bang at 10:30, and we get so many things to talk about tonight as well. Just so many things that Chris is going to give us the lowdown on. He's going to tell us exactly where it is, and we have good chats as well. It's a weird thing because it's a coronavirus call-in, but we have fun along the way with the serious stuff. We all connect and we all have late night conversations. So let's open those phone lines now for that. 08085 909 693, and good luck to half past 10.
You're such a professional.
I've never known that before, have you?
No, never.
Never known
I can't tell you how scared I was.
Yeah.
Well, sit back, put some hand cream on, and enjoy the show, Colin.
Happy day.
Welcome back to 5 Live Sport. After Chelsea won 1-0 at Tottenham in the Premier League, leaves the table looking like this. Chelsea 6th, 4 points behind Liverpool in 4th. Spurs are 8th. They're 7 points outside the Champions League places with a game in hand. But for top clubs, a game in hand is only useful if you win it. It's only useful if you're going to score a goal. And tonight, John Murray, Tottenham rarely look like doing that.
Well, on Sunday, Jose Mourinho said they were sad. In this one, Tottenham were tame. And so Chelsea won their first London derby under Thomas Tuchel, continued their unbeaten start in now 3 matches under their German coach, in which they're still yet to concede a goal. And 1 goal was enough for Chelsea. Jorginho's first half penalty after Dyer fouled Werner. 1 goal was all they needed because Spurs were so blunt. They had 1 attempt on target. Substitute Lamella's shot was saved. Vinicius headed wide late on his first Premier League start. And all that underlines how much they're missing the injured Harry Kane.
Clinton Morrison was watching the game alongside John Murray. And I do like a good synonym, Clinton. So John used the word tame, flat, blunt. You take your pick, couldn't you?
Yeah, all those words described it brilliantly, I think, from John. They were poor. Basically, I'm going to go for another word, poor, not good enough. And Chelsea thoroughly deserved to get the 3 points. They were the better team. And you thought even if it was going to be another goal in the game, it was going to be Chelsea that were going to score it. And they are missing Harry Kane. Yeah, we know he's one of the best strikers around in European football, but they still had other players on that pitch who could step up to the party. They just weren't good enough on the night. But you have to credit Chelsea. I thought they thoroughly deserved it.
We also have with us the former Tottenham defender, Stephen Kelly. I mean, do you think, Stephen, one of the galling things for Tottenham fans is going to be that they were watching a Chelsea team today in the 3rd game under a new head coach, and yet it was Chelsea who seemed to know not just what they were doing, but who they are?
Yeah, there was a real identity about how they played, the position sense, the way the team moved, the way they interchanged positions with each other throughout the game. Mount's position, he really felt it was comfortable for him. Jorginho, Kovacic, they knew their role really well. The back 3 until obviously when he went off, but they still had a really good system about themselves and performed it really well. And even the likes of Ben Chilwell sitting on the bench, he's brought Alonso back in because he suits that wing back role probably slightly more. He knows the role better. So when he knew, I'm going to go to a back 3, I'm going to play wing backs, Alonso's the one that can fill in that role, and he scored in the last game. He performed well tonight. Chilwell is someone that can adapt to that, absolutely, and he's going to be the future for that role going forward. But Chelsea had a real identity about them. They looked very good. They were comfortable. They passed the ball well. Mount was instrumental in most of the good things they did well. And for Tottenham, for me, I'm going to throw another word out there, lackluster. They were just missing. They would get the ball away in sloppy situations. They weren't confident going forward. It's almost like,
I think we're losing Stephen a little bit, so we'll try and get him back. But let me read you, Clinton and John, some of the messages that we've been getting from Tottenham fans.
This is not going to read well for Tottenham, is it?
And you've called that rather well, John. Oliver,
I've been doing this a while now.
Have you? Yeah. We can't say we're playing a defensive game when our defence is porous. We are incapable of keeping the ball. There are no discernible tactics. This is absolutely atrocious. We were better under Tim Sherwood, and that is saying something. Peter, I have a revolutionary idea. How about Spurs try and hold on to the ball for more than 5 seconds? Tommy, Mourinho has reached the stage he's been at before. He's lost the players playing purely defensive football. The game has moved on. His criticism of key players demotivates the squad. I'll do a couple more. I could do a lot more. Dave, as Spurs started to be considered possible title contenders, the wheels fell off, the tactics have gone and players have stopped performing. And Kean says, what's going on with Gareth Bale? So we can come to that, but that's just a flavour, John. And there are more that we could pick.
Yeah, but remember, Tottenham were top of the league less than 2 months ago. So he managed to raise them and find a way of playing that was good enough to get them to the top of the league. But at the same time, I know that, you know, when they lost to Liverpool in mid-December at Anfield, that was followed up with a 2-0 defeat against Leicester. So that was damaging. They lost to Liverpool and Leicester in successive matches. Then they drew at Wolves, who are not having the best of times. Couldn't beat Fulham here, the 1-1 draw. And now they've lost 3 in a row. And all that adds up to problems for Mourinho.
And I guess it's also the fact, Clinton, that, you know, Jose talked about winning football and a winning mentality before, and the best style of football is a winning style. There are some teams where, if they lose, you can almost get away with it if you have a certain type of playing style. When Tottenham lose, Tottenham look bad.
Yeah, and that's why the Tottenham fans won't have it. They've had some entertaining teams over the years, for many years, that even if they were losing football matches, they were on the front foot and giving it a right go. Even under Pochettino, they were always a team who were playing attacking football. Obviously, they wanted to win trophies, which he didn't do, but you know, they progressed. There was an identity there, and they were evolving, moving forward. And I did at the start of the season. I'm like John. I did think come Christmas they were in the title race. I did think it's a strange season. Tottenham have got a great chance, but what Tottenham fans were disappointed with, if they go 1-0 up, they just sit back and then go score a second or a third. You've got good players in this team, so you should be going there and entertaining. But it's not good enough at the moment. And I agree with some of those people of what they've said. Defensively, not been good enough. I don't think recently they've not been good enough. And watching it today with John, it was just so sloppy. I'm looking at a game thinking, there's players there that are good players, but they're lacking in confidence at the moment. So something's not right in the camp.
Strangely, part of the problem is that Kane and Son are so good together, and they're at such a level that to not have one of them and not have that combination means that without them, they are lacking so much. And you know, that in itself is a problem.
Yeah, it was a big. I think John makes a good point, Steve. It was a big problem tonight. Son looked so frustrated. He's thinking there was a chance in the first half. Vinicius is there. He should just slide him in. He's in on goal. Takes too many touches, and Chelsea get back at him. So I'm not going to blame Vinicius for the performance, because the whole 11 weren't good enough. I think the only one who came on and made a bit of a spark was Lamela. He did try, but it was a poor performance. And Tottenham fans won't keep accepting it. They want to see change. At the start of the season, we praised him because he did change. He was defensive and counter-attacking football. Now you need to change. If that's not working, now you need a plan B, and have Jose got a plan B? That's what Spurs fans will want to know, John.
I was actually going to say to you, and I didn't say it, Steve, during the commentary, but when they went 1-0 down midway through the first half, I thought, well, you know, that's good for the game, because now Tottenham will have to change. They'll have to adapt. They didn't.
No, and they took Stephen Kelly Jose Mourinho took 69 minutes to make a substitute in a game that was going in that direction.
Yeah, and it was really obviously watching the game. And I listen, Mourinho's a better manager than we're ever going to be, probably. But you think he's going to identify there's a situation going on there where they're not getting the ball forward quick enough, that people aren't keeping it in the final third, and Vinicius is on his own. He's being isolated. He wasn't getting the ball up to them, so they had to change that. Sissoko and Højbjerg in the middle were offering defensively, but they weren't doing much going forward. I would have tried to get Sissoko. He's got legs, he's got lungs. You push him further up, get him running forward, get him running onto the ball carrying space. But the changes came. Lamela did add a bit of a spark. He got the shot away, but they just didn't create enough. They weren't confident from the ball, and in the final third, they gave it away way too cheaply, I felt.
You made the point, Clinton, about confidence, saying something's wrong within that camp. If you're a player on the bench, right, and the game is going in the direction that it's going, particularly an attacking player, surely what's hitting your confidence must be the fact that the manager doesn't look at you and think you can change this, or at least make it better than it was.
Well, the only attacking player that he had Harry Winks, he's a midfielder, but the only other attacking player, because he brought on the other attacking players, is Gareth Bale, and he didn't bring him on. And I don't care if he had a bad game at Brighton, you still got to bring Gareth Bale on. He can, if you get a free kick, they had one at the end, 25 yards. Gareth Bale is one of the best dead ball specialists in the game when he's on it, and he could have easily brought them back into the game with a free kick like that, or he might get you a goal. But as a player, when you're sitting there on the bench and thinking, I'm an attacking player, we need a goal, and I'm Gareth Bale and I haven't come on that pitch, I'm going to have to start asking questions. Does the manager fancy me at the end of the day? Because if I'm sitting on the bench and we need a goal and I'm Gareth Bale for what I've done in my career, regardless if I'm in particularly not in good form, I still believe I'll come on this pitch and I'll get a chance. And if I get a chance, I'll put it away. And I'm sitting there, if I'm Gareth Bale, thinking, does this manager fancy me? He started me against Brighton, but he didn't give me no opportunity today when we're losing the game.
And you got to feel that as well. Gareth Bale, he's only going to get better by getting more game time. He's not played enough. He's not had enough minutes in his legs. You know, getting on and nicking a goal in the minute of a game, that could give his confidence a huge boost. And, you know, if you're throwing him on for 10, 15 minutes, you're thinking, right, just go, run around, get moving, cause them problems. You're a big star, you're coming on, they're going to worry about you. Maybe if two people mark you or worry about you, it might create an opportunity for someone else. Even if he doesn't do that much, him coming on creates a difficulty or a situation for a defender, because you think, listen, this is Gareth Bale, I better be on my guard here, I better watch out for him. And, you know, they need to get minutes into his legs. And if you want to have any impact at the club and you want to get him moving, you need to get him on the pitch at some point.
And surely there's no reason not to. And I know, you know, this isn't a new thing. Before the game, Mourinho was asked, can you give Gareth Bale a run of games? And he said no. There are so many games that surely you have to do that. Because if you don't do that, with the amount of football there is, if you don't rotate, let alone play anybody else, what sort of position are you going to end up in?
They've got loads of games in February, so you probably might see Gareth Bale more. You should be. There's talk of Harry Kane will be back for either the Everton game in the Cup next week, or I think they play Man City, so he'll be back for one of them two games. But I'm just so surprised that he's not playing a lot of minutes. He could have gone somewhere else on loan. He could have just stayed at Real Madrid and just sat on the bench for them and probably come on and play as much minutes as he's playing here. But he loved Tottenham for where, obviously, it started out for him and how brilliant he was here at Tottenham. But I'm surprised, because I was going to ask John, why do you think Gareth Bale don't get game time? You've probably watched Tottenham more than anyone. I'm surprised.
Well, I mean, it has to be something that he's making that decision. It's the classic argument, isn't it? There's some reason that he's seeing, either from the player or on the training ground. I mean, you two guys all know this better than me. There must be a reason there that is related to what's happening on the training ground that he isn't putting him on the field. I mean, he only used 2 subs tonight.
That's what I mean. And Gareth Bale's an attacking player, and he did not get on the pitch. If I'm that attacking player, Gareth Bale, I'm thinking to myself, what is going on here?
But I mean, his attitude when we saw him at Marine,
yeah, it was
and
good.
He played at Marine,
yeah,
you know, his attitude looks good.
And at Wickham, it looked good. He was probably their best player at Wickham.
He doesn't look unhappy like he did at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
You know, when he used body language there, didn't he? That was definitely a clear message. He knew the media would be watching him. He used it, and you know, messages were put out, but you know, which presumably came from him or his people. That's not happening, is it?
No.
Yeah.
He looks extremely comfortable in his surrounding. Like you said, his body language looks really good. He seems happy. He doesn't seem like he doesn't want to be there. And you just kind of feel it is obviously it has to be something that the manager is seeing on the training ground that's not doing. And maybe that is a fitness level, it's willing to work back, a track, or something that doesn't fit into the criteria that Mourinho wants. But for Gareth Bale, you kind of feel you got to say, listen, just get me on the pitch. Give me an opportunity to show you that I'm capable of doing what you want me to do. I'm in a club that I love. I want to impress. I want to get forward. I want to move this team forward. I want to be a part of that again. And you know, for everybody watching it, we all want to see him do well. I don't think we all were hoping he was going to be the Gareth Bale of before. I don't think anybody expected that, but we'd like to see a glimpse of it.
But I think as well, Steve, it becomes a narrative, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And do you know what's weird about that is sometimes it feels like Jose Mourinho doesn't mind that at all. That a narrative will be created and then he will keep getting asked about it. It's almost sort of a strange pleasure in it that he seems to take.
He likes doing that. He's done it to Dele Alli when he's not been, and he should have been in and amongst it. Obviously, John said he's got a calf injury, but when he comes back, they need a player like that. Tottenham on today's evidence, someone who can go and make something happen. But it's just strange. I don't get it, because I'm sitting there with John during the commentary. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, they've only made 2 substitutions. I actually had to sit back and think, have they made the 3rd substitution? Looking on the pitch, because I'm thinking I've seen Gareth Bale warming up, and then in the 86th minute he's gone back and sat back down, and then as a player you're not getting on the pitch.
I think we're going to be are we going to be Thomas Tuchel in a moment or two, Steve? I think we are.
I hope so. As soon as we get the nod, here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah. Hello, sorry Thomas, sorry, you've just had the fist bump from your chairman Bruce Bruck. That is a great start to your managerial career at Chelsea, isn't it? 2 wins, 3 points today.
Yeah. London Derby, first London Derby, and we won it, and I'm very pleased with the performance. We dominated the first half completely. Unfortunately, we lacked a bit of precision and determination, aggressiveness in the box. Otherwise, we could have scored maybe a second goal and decide the game earlier. Second half was more difficult because we had some easy ball losses, lost a bit of confidence, lacked a bit of precision. So lost then a bit of possession, but we never lost structure defensively, we never lost the spirit, and we never lost the courage to defend up front. We did this with a lot of courage, very brave, and for that we have many chances in counterattacks. We couldn't finish them today, so in the end you have to suffer, because it's necessary to suffer if an evening is like this, and we get a deserved win, and we are super happy with that.
What did you do with Mason Mount, because he was so effective in that role? What did you spot, and what was your feeling behind that tactical?
No, this is so easy because it's the quality from Mason, and one thing you can be very sure of with Mason is that he leaves his heart on the pitch, no matter what, and no matter what role he has to play. He defines himself as a team player through and through, and he thinks always Chelsea first, and this is a pleasure to have these guys. Like I said, they're ready to suffer. We can work on his effectiveness, precision in the last touch, so that he can maybe give assists and be maybe even more decisive. But in terms of work rate and discipline and determination, this is a pleasure to work with him.
You had so much control of the ball. Did you ever feel the result was in doubt?
Oh, with a 1-0, it's always in doubt, honestly. And we conceded a late chance with a header. When Tottenham took a lot of risk and put a lot of bodies into our box. But if you cannot decide it earlier, there are moments where you have to suffer, and we did this, and it's a part of football to defend well, and I'm very, very happy with it.
So you've been here 10 days. You're going to celebrate with a gin and tonic after the great start?
Well, it will take a while until we arrive in the hotel. If they manage to give us one glass of gin tonic, I will not say no, and I will be happy to drink one glass with my staff. And then tomorrow morning 8 o'clock we will drive to the training ground and take care about the team, about the guys who did not play, and it's not the end of the season, but yeah, we are ready to celebrate a little bit.
Thank you. Well done. Thank you.
Nice one. Very nice. George Cummins there live with Thomas Tuchel. We've got Stephen Kelly, Clinton Morrison, and our correspondent John Murray with us.
You know what? That's what I have all the time when I work with John Murray. You know, when you work with the legends, you always got to have a bit of gin, and I don't even drink alcohol.
Well, that was the question, John.
Just one glass.
Yeah, that was exactly the question asked of Thomas Tuchel, wasn't it, in his press conference about, I've heard you don't drink, and he said, no, I enjoy a good gin and tonic.
Brilliant.
I thought there was quite a bit to come out of that, Stephen, actually. Particularly the answer on Mason Mount, which was also almost an identikit answer of what he said about him before, but it just underlines Tuchel knows the value of having somebody who is, as he put it, Chelsea first.
Yeah,
He epitomised that today as well in his performance. He was everywhere. He was always looking for the ball. He's highlighted him as being a real team player, and he talked about his qualities, and he just said he'd obviously like to see a bit more divisiveness in the final third. Maybe he's talking about goals and he's looking for those assists. But I thought today Mount was excellent. I really did. Like I said, his position sense was brilliant. His awareness, he was always on the half turn. He was always available, and his work rate was outstanding. And I just thought he was a real all-round gameplay today. And Tuchel, like I said, he must be delighted to have someone like that in his team who he knows is going to give 110% every game, always come off the pitch after giving everything, and has loads of quality about him as well. So for Tuchel, it's a delight to have players like that on your side.
This isn't, Clinton, a criticism in any way of Frank Lampard, but I was just wondering this as we're watching Thomas Tuchel sort of burst up and down the touchline, and he's always in conversation with his players all the time. Is there such a thing as, a manager who might be best for you when you're breaking through, and that's what Frank Lampard was for Mason Mount, both at Derby and then at Chelsea, but it might be that there is another coach who is the one who can help you realise your full potential, which may or may not happen, but I can imagine you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And yeah, it takes time. It's only been 3 games. I'll judge Thomas Tuchel at the end of the season, but he's done well so far. And the way they play today, they're really positive. It is different. He's changed formation, and you can see him. He kicks every ball on the touchline. But Frank used to do the same. He used to be up in his technical area. But even when chances are going adrift, we saw him there fist pumping and like looking around to his assistants, going, they should be doing better. So yeah, he kicks every ball on that in that technical area, and I think he's a good manager. Obviously, what he's done at PSG, a lot of people say, "Oh, that league's easy," and you're working with superstars, yeah, but you still have to get the best out of them and win that league, so, which he done. So credit to him. But it's been a good start at the so far. But I was impressed massively tonight. As I said, I watched him against Wolves. I wasn't impressed in his first game, but you have to realise, Crossy, in that Wolves game, he only had 1 training session with them. So 1 training session. The more he has to work on the training pitch with this group of players, the better this Chelsea team will come. And I do believe they will finish in the top 4 this season.
But I also think that he's been quite clever, quite cute there. He's in the very early stages of his managerial career in this country. He's talking there about Mason Mount, who hopes are so high for in England as a young England international. As a top coach now, one of your things has to be, and we talk about it all the time, can you get the best out of, can you improve young players and make them better than they are? And he effectively in that answer is saying that he intends to make him a better player. So everyone's a winner there.
Yeah, he's saying the right things, isn't he, Crossy?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing about that, Stephen, is, without wishing to refer too much back into the past, that Wolves game, the first game, might not have been great, but he didn't have to manage that game. He could have ducked it. There'll be lots of managers that might have done that and said, well, it's been 24 hours, I'll come in, I'll sit in the stands for that game. He is the manager. He wanted to manage.
Oh, most managers probably would have just sat in the stand, traded a few comments, and you're not really being like, step back and go, listen, this wasn't really what for me. This was what's come on from before me, and I've let it continue on because I haven't had time to work with them. But he just got straight in. There was no issues. I really was surprised to think he was going to take over, and he came in. Listen, it wasn't going to be, he couldn't possibly have an impact on that squad having 1-day training session. He wasn't going to be able to lay down the law of what he wanted, the roles he wanted from different players. But you're really starting to see, and considering you're saying 10 days there, like, there's a real identity and a shape and a system about them, the way they're playing, and it's working and they're playing well. They frustrated Tottenham. Tottenham were not great today. Chelsea really did get after them and cause them problems, but Tottenham allowed them to do it at times. But you know what? He's talking about a young English player. He's looking to improve. Like John said, spot on. They're media savvy. He knows he's saying the right things to get the right people on board and have him invested in him, which is nice.
Let's find out if Jose Mourinho is saying the right things. Here he is with Kelly Summers.
You said after the Brighton game about sad football, and you talked about maybe not having enough energy. Did you see that more, particularly in the second half?
No, I saw a little bit of that in the first half. When the team is in a game, difficult game, with Chelsea playing well, with us trying to control them in that period of the game, you concede that penalty, and of course you are affected by it. And then, yes, until the end of the first half, I saw a team that was struggling. In the second half was completely the opposite thing. Of course, we are a team in this moment without very, very important players. Reguilón is very important for us. Lo Celso is very important for us. Harry Kane is Harry Kane. Gio Lo Celso is very important for us. A good Dele Alli is very important for us. So we miss a lot of important players. But the spirit in the second half is something that for me is untouchable. The team tried everything.
3 defeats in a row for the first time since 2012. How worrying is this run of form?
Of course, you don't like it. You need to come back to victories, of course. But the way we finished the game gives me positive feelings.
Yeah, it was the other 88 minutes that were the problem, Clinton.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you do miss Lo Celso and obviously a Dele Alli and a Harry Kane and Reguilon. You do miss. They are 4 players that will, in Jose's mind, because he hasn't been playing Dele Alli, 3 players that will probably start in his best 11 without a shadow of doubt. But you have to adapt. I know Liverpool have not been on a good run at the moment, but they've had injuries. Man City have had injuries to key players, De Bruyne, Aguero, and they're not making excuses. So you can't make excuses. That performance today was not good enough, and it has to lie with Jose Mourinho. I like Jose. I've got a lot of respect for him as a person. When I've seen him before, when fans are allowed in, I'll always speak to him. But tonight's performance, it has to lie with him. That weren't good enough. No chance. It's a derby. We spoke about it before the game. It's a London derby. It's a big London derby. And the players didn't play like it was a derby this evening.
Are they the lawnmowers, John? Because if so, I think that's about time to wrap, isn't it?
Are they? Where are they?
They are. No, they're not the lawnmowers. They're the brushes. But yeah, they're better than. Oh no, where are they?
Oh, it's
like
what is that? It's
you know
like
when you clear.
Blower.
Yeah, you blow up all the leaves and all the litter.
Yeah.
Basically, that Crossy. Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
I know he felt left out earlier, John. You know, Crossy did when I said you're my favourite. He's my favourite here. You're my favourite presenter. All right, there you go, mate.
Yeah.
You can smile now. You can smile now.
Karen Carney was his favourite on Sunday.
No, but she's a pundit as well, so she's not a co-commentator.
What about me? What about me, Clint?
Yeah, Coach, you're coming in. You're up and coming. So you're my favourite. Everyone's my favourite. I love everyone, but I know Crossy takes it personally. He'd be messaging me on my way home. Why did you not mention me, Claire? I'm your best friend. So there you go, Crossy. I mentioned you.
Just wait till we're on with Kelly next.
Sir Kelly.
Kelly. I'm not that insecure. John, Stephen, Clinton, thank you very much. Our correspondent John Murray with Stephen Kelly and Clinton Morrison on 5 Live. Colin Murray, I think it's you now.
He literally, I'm not making this up, he literally told me 2 weeks and 3 days ago on the AFL Inquest that I was his favourite presenter. He is a charlatan. He's more faces than
Crossy,
Big Ben.
Crossy, you've got a show to do, Colin. Come on, wrap it up.
Don't say Crossy. It's Colin's show now.
Colin, it's your show. You've got a show. You've got more important things to speak about.
You can sing for that hand cream if you think you're still getting it.
You'll give it to me in a few weeks. Have a good show, mate.
Take care. Steve, I worked it out. You were right and I was right. So we were meant to be on a 10, you were meant to be on the half 10, but nobody told us it had changed. So it's a great night. We can blame the bosses, but it's good that people find it funny.
No comment. No comment.
Oh dear. Well done, guys. Thank you so much.
Enjoy.
Thank you. It is the Thursday night, the last Colin Murray show of the week. Slightly late. Well, it's exactly as advertised, but in our head it was going to be a bit earlier. It's the coronavirus call-in night, which we're doing for the foreseeable future and have been doing. I'm starting to think, 3-4 more weeks, hopefully, and we can get rid of it again, but we'll see. You drive the agenda tonight. The man is here, Dr. Chris Smith. We'll come together as a community. We will talk and we will connect and we will send everyone to bed armed with knowledge and connection of everything that's going on at the moment with COVID-19. I do enjoy it perversely. It's always good to all come together. The phone lines light up and you can phone now 08085 909 693. Loads to get through, so let's get on with it and get those news and sports headlines from Aaron Paul.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Colin. People returning to the UK from coronavirus hotspots abroad will have to quarantine in hotels from the 15th of February. Government sources say passengers will have to stay in their rooms for 10 nights. A hospital in Ayrshire is under lockdown as the police attend what they're describing as a serious incident. Officers have been called to Crosshouse Hospital in Kilmarnock. Police Scotland say they were also dealing with another serious incident in Portland Street, Kilmarnock. A further 915 people have died within 28 days of a positive coronavirus test in the UK. This brings the total number of people to die within 28 days of a positive COVID-19 test to more than 110,000. And the governor of the Bank of England says that the success seen in the rollout of the coronavirus vaccine programme indicates the UK is heading towards a sustained economic recovery. But Andrew Bailey warns that the economy would shrink first. In this evening's football, and a single Jorginho penalty condemned Tottenham to a third straight league defeat for the first time since 2012 as Chelsea ran out 1-0 winners at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The result also sees Jose Mourinho lose back-to-back home league games for the first time ever as a manager, and also sees Chelsea climb above Tottenham into 6th place in the Premier League table. Liverpool will not be able to travel to Germany for the first leg of their Champions League last 16 tie against RB Leipzig, with Germany banning most travellers from countries including the UK, having been hit hard by new variants of COVID-19. A German Interior Ministry statement said Bundesliga club Leipzig had been informed that the fixture does not meet the requirements for an exception. In other Premier League news, and Arsenal have lost their appeal to overturn David Luiz's red card received against Wolves, but a ban for Southampton's Yad Bednarek has been rescinded. It means Bednarek will be available for the Saints' trip to Newcastle United on Saturday, a game you can hear in full on 5 Live Sport. Kickoff is at 3 o'clock. And straight after the football, 5 Live Sport will take you to Twickenham for full coverage of England's Calcutta Cup tie with Scotland, where young centre Ollie Lawrence will start. Owen Farrell will play at 10, whilst George Ford is on the bench. And finally, at the end of day 1 of Golf Saudi International, David Horsey leads the table on 9 under par. Bryson DeChambeau sits joint 4th, with play set to resume at 4 a.m. UK time tomorrow morning.
The FA Cup 5th round.
Now there is hope. Now there is belief.
Manchester United, West Ham United.
Bruno Fernandes scores!
Sheffield United, Bristol City.
Burke here for Sheffield United, and Burke goes on to score.
Barnsley, Chelsea.
Abraham follows up and drives in the rebound.
No replays, guaranteed goals, 0 filler.
Simply unbelievable!
Manchester United v West Ham kicks off Tuesday at 7:30 on BBC One and iPlayer.
The Coronavirus Call-In with Colin Murray and Dr. Chris Smith
on 5 Live.